Hello GDQ, I am Chris Fumi, and this is Kingdom Hearts 3 80% beginner mode. So let's get started here. And start. So to start off, myself, Ninten866 and Mistmaster1 are planning on submitting this as a 3-person co-op run. About myself at least, my PB is a 2:59:40 in game time, and as of right now the world record is a 2:56:38 also in game time. As you may know, Kingdom Hearts 3 is a relatively new game, just over a month past its release date, so a lot of new stuff is still being found, but a lot of work has been put into routing this game. Our first runs took about like 7 hours, and now we're about half of that in real time. So my real time PB is 3:24. So a lot of improvement has been done in a short amount of time. So big shout outs to our community for writing out strats and everything. Alright, so as for right now, we're pretty much in the tutorial section of the game. This is the dive to the heart, and this part is not skippable, and we make some pretty important choices early on. So as of right now, the game's just kind of telling you how to play, but shortly we'll be making some pretty important decisions that will impact the rest of the run, kind of similar to Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. So right now we're gonna be choosing our stats, I would say. This first choice here, it impacts our HP and MP, our starting stats. So for this run, we're really focused on magic, and we want to pick the choice that gives us the most MP. So the HP isn't too much of a concern since we're playing on beginner mode. But we're more concerned about the more MP, which lets us cast more magic. So I'm just gonna pick this choice over here, and this will give us the most MP and the least HP, but like I said, since we're playing on beginner mode, that is not too much of a concern. Even though we're playing on beginner mode, it is still kind of easy to die if we're not careful, so I wouldn't let the easy difficulty deceive you on that. And then up here is a second choice that we have to make, and this is important in this determines our abilities that we gain in the run. And like I said before, we're really focused on magic. You'll see what I mean when we use magic a lot. Not only in just like some parts of the game, it's pretty much throughout the whole run magic is widely used. The choice here, it gives us a pretty magic focused ability setup, so we'll be gaining a lot of magic abilities really early on. You'll see like level 2 we'll get this ability called Magic Combo Thrift, and it basically makes successive magic casts cost less MP, which is really nice. Really synergizes with our more MP that we choose. Unfortunately, this whole section is kind of slow, and we can't really skip a lot of this long transitions, so this is something that we have to deal with. Maybe in the future, though, if this game gets new patches. But yeah. So shortly we're gonna be coming across a few encounters. Again, this is still the tutorial, so nothing really special will be done here. We'll just have like one small encounter, and then we'll have a boss of this tutorial section. So we just have these small shadows here. These guys die in 2 hits, so I just want to do a 1-2 combo, and then I can dodge roll to like cancel the animation. So I can skip that cutscene here, and then here we have Dark Side. So the main strategy here, hopefully I can... the main strategy there is to stay on his head and just do air combos. Ideally, you can dodge that first attack, but I kind of mistimed my attack. But nothing special here, just trying to whack Darkseid's head. Trying to avoid these orbs. It's kind of random if we get hit or not. But like I said, nothing too special here. Not really the best fight so far, but that's fine. The hard part here is just staying on his head. But I can like air dodge like that to just maintain my height and just wait for my attack cooldown to reset. So that's pretty much it for the tutorial. Nothing too special. So after that tutorial, we just like jump straight into the main game. We're just immediately thrown into our first world, Olympus. Early game in general is kind of a lot of RNG. There's a lot of like randomness. Not only with the just mob fights, but like we get like situational abilities. You'll find out that they're called situation commands that can greatly impact the speed of certain fights. So we just have to do our best to like adapt to like certain scenarios. So we're gonna have our first menu. So you see I have a midnight blue Keyblade. That's DLC and we do not allow that. I just took a ether from Donald and then I'm just gonna customize some magic that I gained from that Darkseid fight. So here we have our first encounter, nothing too special. I'm just gonna be just using a lot of magic casts since we have that now. So I'm just gonna be using water. But there's really no like specific strat other than, you know, just hit your enemy and then, you know, do your magic casts at the same time. I also have fire as well, so what you want to use kind of depends on like personal preference. Like one is definitely not better than the other. But I guess if I had to explain like the difference between fire and water, fire is just your basic projectile attack. That's a pretty relatively low MP cost. Same with the water too. But the special thing about water though is that you'll find out a lot in Olympus. We'll be using it a lot. But with water, it has 2 instances of damage, and it also gives you like a small frame of invincibility frames. So its first instance of damage is like is when the water like encases Sora, and then the next instant of damage is when it sends out a projectile. So water is really good, but it's kind of hard to use because you have to be right next to an enemy to utilize its max damage. But yeah. Then I'm just gonna go to the save point to refill my MP. So in this first world, this game just like throws a lot of combat mechanics right into your face. So we're gonna see something new here. It's gonna be called flow motion. So you can use that to interact with the terrain. There, I just like dashed into that pole there, and that made Sora basically just spin around it. And that also impacted the enemies by like grouping them all together, which synergizes pretty well with my water spam. So you can see how strong water is against these flame cores. Obviously I'm not using fire because these guys are fire type. So that was a pretty good fight. But yeah, flow motion is a mechanic from Dream Drop Distance. It's a previous Kingdom Hearts title, or one of the older titles, where you basically are able to interact with the terrain, and KH3 kind of built up upon that by like you know, interacting with terrain and stuff, and like a few new things called air stepping, but I'll get into that later. So nothing special here, same strategy, just use water to do a lot of damage to these guys. 2 waters will instantly kill Flame Core. I do want to be careful of my MP management, because these flame cores can DM, which kind of stands for desperation move. And DMs in Kingdom Hearts are essentially time wasters. So that guy tried to DM, and he gets really annoying. But thankfully I can stop it by just casting water. So not bad. But yeah, you'll hear about DMs. Again, this stands for desperation moves. Those are generally time wasters, and we want to avoid those as much as possible. So here it's just a lot of movement. I'm able to use this Trinity Sled situation command to get past terrain. If I don't use that, and if I try to walk in that area, then Sora will he will burn and jump around as if his pants were on fire. So it's good for movement, though there is like one instance where I try to avoid using it. So, have a fight coming up soon, go to a save point to replenish my MP. And then here, I'm gonna take advantage of that flow motion tech that I used earlier, so I group up all those flame cores and then I just spam water. And with water being pretty strong against these guys, I can clear them out pretty quickly. So my team's actually pretty strong too, especially Donald. He can cast Blizzard and do a lot of damage to these guys. So party members in KH3 are actually really strong. So early game, the speed of early game can depend on like how much your party helps. So over here I broke this Achilles statue, and this lets me access this chest here, which gives me a magic ring. And this increases my magic stat by 2, and then I'm just gonna unequip some abilities that I don't want. And also change my party's abilities as well. So I unequip some abilities to have more ability power, which lets you equip abilities that you gain in the future. This game is nice to give you a lot of AP at the start. So over there I just used some flow motion, and flow motion can also be used for movement. I'm actually gonna attempt some of that. So you're able to like wall kick from the wall, and you're able to dash with it. So I'm gonna try to do it right there. So do that, and this is alright. So after using flow motion from a wall, I'm able to do this Sonic Cleave, which is a 2-hit attack. It's very useful for movement, and I'll probably use that quite a bit of times in the run. And then, yeah, I'll just focus on this fight for now. So yeah, this is another force fight. Same strategy that we've been doing. But this time, now we have access to more situation commands. You can see like by my command menu. But yeah, like I said, this game just throws a bunch of combat mechanics to you shortly. But I'll get more to that later. But basically, right now we have the ability to go into forms. So I'm able to do like neat combos like that. Alright, nice. So in this fight, we got access to situation commands, and more specifically, form changes, team attacks, grand magic. It's a lot of information to take in, but so you can see in the left there, you can see that arrow. That's a mechanic from 0.2, previous Kingdom Hearts game. But it lets you get more situation commands, and as I'm talking about more situation commands, I just gained a new thing here. So you can see that pirate ship command there on the left. That's actually going to be really useful. If I can get to a good position here. So I'm gonna, for this fight, I'm just gonna get behind this rock troll, use Pirate Ship, and then use a lot of damage. Use this attraction flow I got here to do a lot of damage. I don't know where I'm going. Okay, nice. But yeah, back to situation commands. So this game is centered around the situation command meter on the left, designated by like those arrows that appear during combat. As you do attacks, so it can be magic, like basic attacks or magic, your command meter fills up, and once it maxes out, you'll either gain access to a form change, which you may have seen. Second form, I actually have it active right now, so that's a form change. You can also get Grand Magic, which is basically a stronger version of the current magic that you use. You can also get team attacks, which can be like Flare Force. Basically, it's like your basic limit that you see in games. I'm trying to do some movement here. Alright. You can also get Attraction Flows, which was that pirate ship that I used earlier. And I think that's pretty much it. So like 4 different things. I might have forgotten something, but that's situation commands in a nutshell. So here I'm trying to do some movement to skip one of 2 force fights. You're required to do one of them at least to progress in the story, but I'm trying to skip both of them. Or just skip it entirely. So I use this technique where, or this movement where I just air slide, attack, air slide. So nice thing about that is that my height is retained throughout all of that, and I'm able to do that neat trick like that. And then also earlier, I kind of just ignored it since I was explaining situation commands, but I picked up a chest called a water cufflink, and I'm gonna equip it right now. And this gives us water boost and water za. And I'm just gonna do mini equip some abilities, so I'm gonna equip that fire boost. I'm gonna equip that too, and equip this lucky strike on Goofy. The lucky strike is for synth drops, which will be important for Keyblade upgrading. But back to that water cufflink, that accessory is really strong because it gives you it empowers my water magic, and even better, the water za ability. So water za is basically the highest tier of magic. So like, you know, with water, you can upgrade to water, water ga, and then water za is the 4th magic, or the 4th tier of magic. And having it this early is really strong. You'll see that it has insane damage, and it also has insane area of effect. So you can wipe out a lot of mob enemies pretty simply. So here I'm at a boss fight. This is Rock Titan. This fight can be annoying sometimes since if you get hit, it's really easy to get hit. And we don't have aerial recovery yet, which helps us recover from stagger. But if you get hit, then you just kind of get stuck in the air until Sora like lands or you're able to move again. So over here we have to damage Rock Titan's legs first before we can actually damage him. So I'm just gonna do a bunch of water casts. So you can see I got water zo there thanks to water cufflink. So I need to do my best to dodge those attacks. Alright, so I got second form, so it gives me slightly different combat attacks. Alright, that's good. So now we're at the head, and we just need to do a little bit of damage here. So I'm just gonna damage Rock Titan to a certain HP range, and then that should be good. So I'm gonna use this attraction flow that I got here, the mountain coaster, and it does a lot of damage to Rock Titan, and it just basically did a whole bar. So not bad. But yeah, not too complicated of strategy. Just cast a bunch of waters for damage, and then attack both the legs, and then I'm able to attack the heads, do a certain amount of damage, and then attraction flow with the mountain coaster to finish it off. So most attraction flows are kind of random, but some of them are relatively consistent. I think that's one thing I forgot to mention. Attraction flows are kind of random. A green indicator that will show up on enemies, and to have access to those attraction flows, you need to hit that enemy at least once, and then you're able to use that attraction flow. But for that Rock Titan fight, the mountain coaster is always consistent, so that's nice. But for like other mob fights, it can be random. And I should say that attraction flows are really good actually, as at least the finishers. So we got a fight here also. This fight's kind of annoying, so hopefully it goes well. Usually you get hit there, but I got lucky and I didn't get hit from that. So this is a new mechanic. There's armor, and basically when enemies have armor, they attack differently. So you definitely want to get rid of that armor ASAP. Oh, that was actually a good fight. But yeah, there's HP and then there's armor, which is new in Kingdom Hearts 3. And armor is really annoying since enemies get a new set of attacks that are pretty annoying. So in most cases we want to skip armor. Though thankfully in the run there's not too many enemies that have the ability to use armor. But we have strats to like work with it. So here we're just doing some movement to progress through the story. I guess I didn't really mention, when flow motion's active, Sora glows blue. So that's a good indicator that I'm using flow motion. Yeah, I try to use some fancy movement. So over here, this game teaches you a new mechanic with flow motion. It's called air stepping. So basically we can use shot locks, which is this that circle reticule that you just saw right now. So basically you can lock on into enemies and then you can air step straight to them. Oh, that's right, okay. Just making sure I had everything. In addition to shot locks, they're basically another attack that uses that focus gauge on the bottom right, and lets us use pretty strong attacks depending on the Keyblade that we use. So I'm gonna use it right here. So I'm gonna go for a max shot lock on the Ice Titan, and then I'm gonna immediately use air step to close the distance. And I got hit. That's fine though. So I'm gonna climb this rock and I'm gonna try and damage both the Fire Titan and Lava Titan. Though this fight is kind of annoying, but I'll do my best to make this pretty simple. So the annoying thing is that Lava Titan can he can turn invulnerable to damage, signified when he glows really red. So let's see what we get. So just dodge those attacks, and then oh, I think that might not. So yeah, I just used that wire zap, but unfortunately, Lava Titan became invulnerable, so that didn't really damage him. Alright. So I got this team attack from Hercules. So this fight, it's a lot of like, pretty much a lot of improv. Just trying to think of like what to do. Since, you know, situation commands come here and there. So hopefully that ends that. No, I think Ice Titan is still alive. Oh, okay. Never mind. So yeah. This is pretty much the boss of the world. So first we have the Ice Titan and Lava Titan. Now we have the Tornado Titan that we have to fight. Those 3 fights are not my most favorite. But we just have to do the best we can. So I guarded those buildings and they did some damage to Tornado Titan here. Tornado Titan, okay. I was waiting for Tornado Titan to attack there, because if you get hit from that, it knocks you pretty far back. And definitely don't want to deal with that. So this is the first phase of the fight. Just basically just do as much damage as I can. And then in the second phase of this fight, Tornado Titan will pretty much make us transition to this phase. So we have this phase where we're just falling. But this is basically the DM. It is possible to skip this, but it's pretty hard. At least with what we have at the moment. But generally this phase happens. So I'm just gonna do some air slides and normal attacks to close the distance. And then I'm just gonna do a lot of waters for damage. And then hopefully I get the waters out. So there's an attraction flow that can show up here, but like I said before, attraction flows are random. And oh, sweet. So I get this Blaster Blaze, and hopefully I can do enough damage to end the fight before Tornado Titan attacks again. Okay, nice, cool. So yeah, like I said, attraction flows are pretty random. So thankfully I was able to get that there. That's usually the strat. To get Blaster Blaze there, you can do a lot of damage. And if the fight is going well, you can end it before Tornado Titan decides to attack you from a distance, which wastes a lot of time, so it's good I was able to avoid that. Oh man, alright. So here we have a force menu. We got a new Keyblade, Hero's Origin. And that Keyblade will be used in the next world. So the thing about Keyblades, every Keyblade in this game has its own unique Keyblade transformation. Also, I guess I should stop. We get to play as Best Boy for a little bit. But yeah, I'll get back to that Keyblade thing after I get past this this fight. So we get to play as Riku for a bit against Demon Tower. So this fight's kind of annoying, but there's thankfully a pretty good strat I got. Oh, well, that didn't really go as planned, but hopefully this still goes well. So the thing about Demon Tower here is when it's glowing red, as you can see, it has increased armor. Armor as in it takes less damage. So basically we want to attack when it's not glowing red. I didn't realize its HP was already really low, but no, that's fine. I had those situation commands ready, but Demon Tower's HP was already really low that the increased armor wouldn't really make a difference, but that's fine. But yeah. So back to that Keyblade thing. Oh, also we just got a link there, but I'll get on that a little bit later when we use links. Links are just like summons, and you'll see that they're very useful. But yeah, like I was saying before, Keyblades have their own unique transformations or form changes. And like I said before, form changes gives us an extra set of abilities that are active while the form is active. So forms don't last forever. We're given a temporary amount of time to stay in a specific form. And with Hero's Origin, we'll be using its Guardian form for the boss fight for Twilight Town. So we'll be fighting Demon Wave. Spoilers. But Counter Shield is really good at blocking and also counter blocking, or I guess counter guarding is a better word to say. So we'll be utilizing that for a lot of damage. And also, we have gummies. How could I forget about this? So gummies in this world are, they're open world-ish. And main goal for gummies is to collect money. So it's really nice that we're able to get money because we need money to buy ethers, which goes pretty hand in hand with our whole magic build that we're focusing on. So we just try to get a lot of money, and then we use these nebula lines here that I'm in right now to speed up movement. And we also get boost, as you can see in the bottom right, that we can use to go faster. But yeah, gummies are not that complicated. Not too complex, fortunately. And they're pretty short too, compared to like Kingdom Hearts 2, which had like 2+ minute auto scrollers, which is kind of eh. But at least with KH3, there's a lot of stuff in our control, and movement is pretty short, so that's really nice. So here we're in Twilight Town. We're gonna immediately jump into a fight. We're gonna be fighting a bunch of nobodies, and then after that fight, we'll be fighting Demon Wave. But to start here, I'm gonna swap to the Hero's Origin Keyblade that I just got. So in KH3, you're able to change Keyblades mid-combat, which is a new feature. So I got Counter Shield there, which is good. So you can also store Keyblade transformations if you switch to your other Keyblades. So like I said, how form changes are temporary, you can actually store them and use them at a better time. And I'm saving Counter Shield for the boss of this world. So here, nothing too special. Just using water to clear out these enemies. So I got Water Zoe. And then I also got a Situation Command. I got a Pirate Ship, which is really good here. Does a lot of damage. Like I said, attraction flows are really strong. So just trying to do decent damage, and then use the finisher when I feel like it's a good time to use it. So when you use the finisher, the attraction flow immediately ends. Is this the last guy? No? Some guy is somewhere. Alright. So since situation commands aren't consistent all the time, like fights don't usually go the same every time. Which is kind of a bummer, but that's just how the game is. So this Demon Wave, I'm using Shot Lock for some decent damage. I kind of messed that up, yeah. So I have Counter Shield stored up, and I'm just gonna wait for Demon Wave to attack me. So I'm gonna just guard here, and this gives me an attack called Wrathful Fist. Sorry. This guy can hit me, and then I can do this attack called Wrathful Flurry. It does a lot of damage. So this is where Counter Shield really shines. Oh, that kind of missed. Dang. So I'm just gonna use Flare Force to do extra damage. I hope that actually hit. Oh, nice, it did. Alright. Not the best fight, but that's fine. Some of my Wrathful Flurry kind of missed, which was unfortunate, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna go to the save point here. So the thing about save points, they refill your resources. So it refilled my focus and MP, and I guess HP as well. And then we're just gonna progress through the story. So in this upcoming fight, we're going to be fighting some Power Wilds. Power Wilds are notorious for being really annoying. Not only in just KH3, but KH1. So hopefully this fight is pretty smooth. In the start of this fight, I'm going to jump back and then just lock on with my shot lock, and then hopefully this kills a decent amount of them. And hopefully the Ragnarok doesn't miss, because it can like get blocked by the trees. Oh, some of that kind of got blocked. Okay, that's fine. I killed at least 2. So nothing too special here. There is a attraction flow that can show up here, but I don't know if it will show up. Okay, so there's an attraction flow that I was looking for. So this is Splash Run. It does a lot of decent AoE damage. I'm just gauging like how many enemies are together. Because this, the finisher of this attack does like huge AoE. Oh wow, I ended the fight there, cool. So like I think I killed like 6+ enemies there, so that's actually really good. So the thing about situation commands, you kind of want to figure out the best scenario to use them. You can't just like, oh, I see this thing and then immediately use it. If you want to go fast, trying to find the perfect moment to use them is really key in going fast. Especially like with abilities like Waterza, like you want to make sure you're hitting the most amount of enemies, not like 1 or 2. Since early game we don't have a lot of resources, and those abilities, those situation commands are crucial in using at the right moment. So I have a few cutscenes, and then we'll shortly go into another fight. So we'll be fighting a large group of enemies. So like I said before, we want to make sure we're using our situation commands at good moments. So I'm just gonna do a lot of water spam to build up a Waterza, and hopefully all these enemies just stay grouped. I still don't have aerial recovery, so kind of don't want to get hit. So Waterza, and I hit a decent amount of enemies, and then just reposition myself for a good Teacups finisher. And then I guess just to end this fight, this is the last wave of enemies. Ooh, I'm getting hit. It's one a Waterza finish. I think it's one behind me. Okay. That was an alright fight. Ideally it ends by like the second Waterza you do, but unfortunately enemies didn't stay grouped together. So I guess that can kind of go against you, just like how enemies move. But this is something you just have to adapt to, just trying to find the best scenario to use situation commands. So I did some air step movement there to move across that forest. And then, I guess I didn't really say this, but dodge rolling is, I would say, I think it's faster. There is like a sprinting animation that Sora does if you continuously just move forward, but the thing about that is that you kind of can't make sharp turns, and we do a lot of like sharp turns. So dodge rolling just is more consistent in movement. So here we have a small minigame. We just have to collect some ingredients, so this is kind of the route that I do. Some people might be doing something different, but this is what I currently do. We just have to find ingredients throughout the whole town. So whack those baskets. Just have to collect 9 of them.
Just imagine the yummy stuff little chef will whip up with this.
Alright, so now I just got a new Keyblade, a shooting star. So I'm gonna equip that, because that'll be useful for the next few worlds. Then I'm gonna equip the ability Combo Plus, which just basically increases my combo counter by 1. So shooting star will be used a lot for, like I said, the next 2 worlds.
I'm sorry.
Probably because it has a higher magic stat. And we'll also upgrade it. So in this game we can upgrade our Keyblades, which increases its stats, and we can also get new abilities as well. So that's helpful. So here we're gonna actually do something pretty nice. We're gonna build our own ship. So I'm just gonna put a few blocks for HP. And I'm gonna put these guns, and these engines, and then this cockpit. The famous A gummy ship. So the advantage to building our own ship is that in comparison to the default ship that we start out with, this ship has more cannons, which makes us do more damage. And why that is important is because there are actually boss fights in Gummi, in the Gummi ship. And we'll actually be having one real soon. But yeah, the cannons makes us do way more damage. And that speeds up the fight by a lot. So there's 3 force fights that we have to do in a Gummi ship. So having really strong damage is important. As for Gummi movement, like I said, we just want to make sure we get money. There were some mines earlier that I dodged, but generally you don't want to hit those. And then, yeah, just use the Nebula lines for movement. So here we have our first Gummi boss fight. This is forced, you cannot skip it. But basically the main goal here is to damage its head, and these bosses have weak points, so you do more damage when you hit those weak points. Unfortunately I don't have scan, so you can't really see how much damage I'm doing. But if I have a decent fight, this should take at least 30 seconds, or not 30, 20 seconds. So yeah, 20, 73, so pretty good. So if I were to use the default ship, that would take probably twice as long, or even more. So building our own custom ship is very important. So this is Toy Box. This world is kind of unique in a way, is as far as like how combat works for some of it. We'll have some points where we're fighting as Sora, but a lot of points where we're using mechs. So we're Gundam now. But in this first force fight, we'll be just doing our normal Sora combat, Keyblade combat. So nothing special here. We want to just get Waterza, and you can also get an attraction flow here. You can get Teacup, so there's that attraction flow. So this will be using the finisher for a bunch of AoE damage. So hopefully that kills a decent enemies. So that did good damage. I'm just gonna step to the side here, get this fluorite chest. I don't think I explained what fluorites do. But I actually got one earlier back in Olympus. But fluorites are basically synthesis materials that are used for upgrading our Keyblades. And speak of the devil, we're gonna be upgrading our Keyblade right now.
Head over to the toy store.
So we can upgrade our Keyblades at Moogle shops by going to the workshop, and then Keyblade Forge. So I'm just gonna upgrade my Shooting Star Keyblade once. That increases my magic stat by once. And then I'm just gonna buy a few things here. So I'm buying food, that's the new thing in KH3. Buy some tents, which are basically a save point on the spot, minus the saving part. And then a few ethers. Oops. Just trying to do some Blizzard movement. So Blizzard leaves a trail of ice that you can flow motion on. Very useful for movement. Food I'll explain later. But food basically just gives us temporary stat boost. Well, I guess that's a good explanation. Nothing really complex about food. At least in this run. Food's just basic temporary stat boosts. And then tents, there will be cases where I need to refill my resources. Then ethers, like I said, for magic. More magic uses. Alright, so here, force fight. We're fighting a mech now. Main strategy is to use the triangle attack, which shoots these bombs. They do a lot of damage. There's also small Heartless that I hope my party focuses on, but if not, I'll just take care of them myself. But the thing about this Exploders attack, you want to make sure that we make every use of them, because there's a cooldown that we have to wait for every usage. So they come from our mech's right and left side. You'll see that I'm kind of oh, I just accidentally said that. But you'll see that I'm like tilting my camera to the right and left to manipulate how the orbs move, just so I ensure that my damage does not miss. So you'll see that throughout this world, that being done when we're fighting in a mech. So it's very crucial to not waste any of those Exploders attacks, because that's our biggest damage source, and just missing our attacks is pretty crucial. So, gonna do some movement here. We're gonna go into this mech. Mechs can, you know, rise with their engines, and then we're gonna get this chest right here. So this is a fire cufflink. So you know about the water cufflink, and if you haven't realized, cufflinks are pretty good. So similar to the water one, the fire cufflink gives us fire boost, and it also gives us fire Raza, and that's some good stuff. You'll see why. So here we got our boss fight. Nothing too special. We just use our mech to beat these guys. If you do not use the mech, this fight is actually kind of a pain, but the mech makes this kind of relatively simple. So each mech has its own special attack. That blue mech that I was using earlier has that Exploders. This red mech has the tackle attack, which does decent amount of damage. So definitely want to use those abilities. And then I guess I can also say that each mech specializes in something. The blue mech's kind of balanced in the cannon attacks that it can do and the punching attacks. The red mechs are more physical attack based, so punching is better, and then you'll see a purple mech that is really good at shooting. So I grabbed that refocuser. Refocuser is just basically refill our focus gauge in combat. Aw, dang. If you're fast, you can avoid getting blown back from that fan, but that was just slightly slow. So shortly we'll have our boss fight with Angelic Amber. It's a doll. She can be kind of annoying, so hopefully it can go smoothly. So I'm just gonna do more air slide attack movement here to get this chest right here. This is a fluorite, which is useful for upgrading our Keyblades. And then I'll use it to also get to this record player, which is used to progress to the story. And then after this, I will do a menu. I'm gonna equip that fire cufflink that I got earlier. And you'll see the beauty of fire spam in this game. This is only the beginning. So I'm gonna equip that fire cufflink, and then we'll give Donald the gold amulet and water cufflink, and then I'm gonna equip some abilities. So I got aerial recovery finally, and then I'm gonna eat some food, and that food will give me 1 magic. So it might not seem like much, but 1 magic makes a huge difference early game. Alright, we got Angelic Amber. This fight's kind of annoying, but thankfully we got fire spam to do a lot of damage. So in this phase she's kind of invulnerable, so kind of have to be careful to not use fires, because those damages, the damage of it can not hit. So there, it actually didn't hit. So in this phase of the fight she kind of moves around a lot. Kind of need to wait for the best time to attack. Also, what's annoying is that the Heartless in the field can also like eat up the attacks. So this is good. I got double air guns, which is exclusive to Shooting Star, and I'm gonna store that. All right, not bad. So like I said, with Keyblade transformations, each have their own unique transformation or form change, and I'm gonna try this pretty hard strat. Hopefully it goes well with the double arrow gun. So this UFO fight's actually notoriously annoying. I'm gonna try and complete it in a way the game doesn't really intend you, but I'm gonna use double air guns right here, and I can lock onto this UFO with its auto shot, and I'm just gonna do a little bit of damage there, and then store my air guns again. And then the UFO should move around and teleport, so hopefully I can do more auto shots here. Oh, come on. So that didn't really go that well, but if I did that right, the fight would end right there. Hopefully I can end it. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Hopefully I can finish it. Okay, perfect. So that fight's pretty risky, that strat I did. How the game intends you to finish the fight is to actually use a mech to attack it, but I skipped that entirely. So that strat's a high risk, high reward. You can go really fast. Since you have to have access to the mech, you have to destroy the Heartless that is currently piloting it, but the mechs have a lot of HP. But with what I did, the double arrow gun strat, was able to go relatively fast without needing the mech. But the UFO moves around a lot, and it kind of makes it tricky to stay on top of it, especially when you're almost done with the fight. So here we have a minigame. This Verum Rex. This is a minigame that has multiple phases. So this first phase here, we just need to get a certain amount of points. There's these bombs in the field that do a huge AoE radius attack, and they actually one-shot these Gigas here. And there's also these traps that can insta-kill those Gigas. So, like I said, this is only the first phase. We want to just kill a certain amount of mechs to get a certain amount of points. And this will bring us to the second phase of this fight. A cutscene will play, so this indicates that we're on the second phase. So with this second phase, we have these purple marked Gigas, as you can see. And what we want to do is that we just want to... Oh wow, that was kind of interesting. These purple Gigas, these purple marked Gigas, I mean, these spawn and they're basically targets we just need to fight to advance. So now I killed all of them, and this spawns the golden Gigas, and this is the boss of this minigame. So after we defeat him, or defeat it, then we can end the minigame there. This guy doesn't really move consistently. Kind of want him to come down here. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. What's he doing? This guy kind of moves around. Oh, wow, he is. I've never seen him stay up in this air this long. Okay. So this guy's kind of annoying. He can get invulnerable to attacks. This guy is moving all over the place. Oh man. Oh man. This is quite something. Okay. So this guy's kind of annoying. He can teleport around a lot, as you saw, and that makes me miss my shots. But yeah, I was trying to use the exploders to do a lot of damage. If I get lucky, he can move towards like one of the bombs and detonate it right next to it, but did not get that lucky, unfortunately. So here's just more movement. Air step across the map, so I don't have to like dodge roll. So movement in this game is pretty big, like using air step like that, using Blizzard for movement, very important, a really small thing that can help in going fast. Definitely not easy to do all the time. Just like trying to find the best areas to use air steps and such. So here we got more mech combat. Main goal here is to just defeat all the enemies so that we can use this situation command on these green boxes over here. But before we can do that, we have to defeat all these enemies. So with mech combat, basically make use of the exploders attack. You'll see that I'm tilting my camera just to ensure I get max damage. And hopefully these guys don't fly away, because that's kind of annoying when that happens. So like if I use my exploder there, I would have completely missed. So wise decision by me to hold back. So you don't want to immediately use your exploders, even if it's up. You want to ensure that they're gonna hit, that those Gigas enemies are not moving. So yeah, after we defeat the enemies, we can use that situation command.
Hey, there's some over there.
And there is 3 areas we have to do fights like that. So this fight we have smaller enemies, so I prefer using the punch attack, with the occasional cannon, to clear out these enemies. I don't really like using the exploders attack, but it's also nice if our allies help. So I saw that I missed one there, so that's no biggie because we have to climb back up anyways. There's like one of them like around me. There it is. Oh, I left 2 of them. Oops. So that's not a big deal. So we have to climb back up anyways. So missing enemies is not that bad, as long as it's not like the bottom floor one. That would be pretty unfortunate. So now we just have one more fight that we have to go through. Just do some neat movement there, and then air steps that Gigas. So that's the purple Gigas that's really good at shooting. I'm gonna get this Valorine right here, and that will be useful later in the run. So I'm just gonna punch that dice, force the cutscene, and then I'm gonna use this cannon attack, and does a huge AoE attack. Oh, by the way, the game can crash there. It's pretty rare, but I've seen it crash at that specific moment. But hopefully that's not a thing that will happen. If the game crashed, this game autosaves, so it's not the end of the world. So it makes the game kind of marathon safe. If crashes happen. So that's the last part of this part, and now we can progress. This lets us climb this area, so doing all those situation commands on those blocks lets us climb up here. I'm just gonna do a quick menu, equip a magic ring here, and then equip a high jump. Right, where is it? There it is. So right there was actually the boss fight of the world, but I'm actually gonna leave. And the reason why we do that is because since the leaderboards use in-game time, I guess I didn't mention this either, but the advantage of in-game time is loads are not included. So loads like that Instagram load you see like every time we enter a world, or I guess the spinning heart, those are not included. Also, I'm kind of going the wrong way. The advantage of that is that the loads that are occurring when we leave a world early, they're not included, so we can take advantage of leaving a world early. Also, I just realized I went to the wrong area. This is kind of not how you're supposed to go here, but that's fine. But you'll see that used a bit, where we leave the world early. And the reason why we want to leave the world early is that we get a better Keyblade from Corona. And that's actually the Keyblade that we'll be using for the rest of the run. It's called Ever After, and it's really strong. It has a really good shot lock. I guess I didn't say that either earlier, but each Keyblade have their own shot locks, and Ever After shot lock is insanely good. And you'll see the beauty of it when we come back to Toy Box. So just a minor mess up I did there with the Gummi. I meant to depart from a different area, but I departed from the wrong area, but that's fine.
Why can't I?
So we're in Corona, and you'll actually see usage of links that I got earlier. So this is Meow Wow. Meow Wow is a balloon that can burst, and basically I can do this huge AoE attack, and it insta-kills those Heartless. So that completely annihilated the first wave enemies. I did a shot lock to kill a few enemies, and that spawned the last wave enemies, and then I used Meow Wow again to finish off that last wave enemies. So Meow Wow's, like I said, a link, essentially a summon. The thing about links is that we need maximum MP. So our MP has to be at its max to summon a link. So we have to be careful of our MP usage. Like if we use one fire, we cannot use links at all. But links in this game are very good at doing damage. You'll see what I mean later in the run. We'll actually use 2 links in this world. We'll use Meow Wow and also Wreck-It Ralph. It's gonna do this quick menu here. I'm gonna equip Arrow and Thunder. So new magic that we got. Both Arrow and Thunder are both AoE. Nice thing about Arrow in this world is that we have these enemies that have armor. Arrow actually gets rid of those that armor. So that Arrow just got rid of its armor. So nothing special here, it's just a lot of magic spam. You can see that I'm casting magic in the air. So I'm jumping and then casting magic. And then hopefully I get Thundara or Arrow, or even better, I could get both. But the thing about casting magic in the air is that it casts the magic slightly faster in comparison to when it's in the ground. So you'll see that like done throughout the run. So these guys, I want to cast Arrow on them to get rid of their armor. Oh, that didn't get rid of armor. But yeah, nothing too special. So you can kind of see why we're kind of focused on magic. Magic is just really good at clearing out enemies. And you'll see later that it does insane damage, or just like now, it does pretty good damage in comparison to our physical attacks.
Dandelions.
Yes, I get a break. So a portion of this is unskippable.
Look. Oh. What?
I could have skipped earlier, but I was drinking water. My mouth is getting kind of dry with all this talking. But yeah, there's some points where cutscenes are unskippable, and we kind of have to wait before we can actually skip them. So you just have to kind of get a feel when you can, not only feel, just like know when you can skip a cutscene. So you'll see me like try to skip a cutscene just out of habit. But it's not a cutscene that you can skip, or you have to wait a bit. There's a lot of that in this run. So here we're coming across a force fight. So we're gonna fight some Reapers. They're really annoying, but thankfully they're easily downed by 4 fires.
Of course there had to be no
And then I can get Firaza, which will one-shot these guys. And if this fight goes pretty well, I won't need to use an Ether to replenish my MP. So these guys teleport around, and also I can get help from Donald or my allies. So nice. So if you try to fight those guys normally, like with physical attacks, they turn invulnerable and you can't do anything, and then they do these very annoying attacks that you really don't want to deal with. So the 4 fire spam helps dealing with them. So I did some air step movement there. So a lot of movement here. I can do things to speed it up, like use Blizzard. Hopefully I can angle the line, the Blizzard trail that that spawns. So, whoops. So I'm just gonna try and angle this at a good spot. If I hit an enemy, then the Blizzard trail stops, so I want to avoid that. But other than that, just use dodge roll for movement and the occasional air slide. I gotta climb this wall. There's wall climbing in this game. Aw, dang it! I got hit by the power wild. This is kind of annoying because I get stunned and I get thrown all the way to the bottom. Okay, that would have been unfortunate if I got hit again. So here I'm gonna get this chest here. This contains the Damascus, and it's also a synthesis material like the fluorite, and useful for Keyblade upgrades. We collect 3 of them in the run to upgrade ever after, once we get it after this world. So once I get those, I'll get another one shortly. So coming up, I'm gonna do some neat movement to skip some required, not I shouldn't say required, but intended way that the game wanted you to progress. You would have to do a situation command with Rapunzel.
I wonder where this leads.
And thankfully we could skip it with Arrow. So the thing about Arrow, in addition to being an AoE attack, it also leaves a temporary jump boost. Or like it leaves like a jump pad, I should say, that we can use to jump off of. So the game expects you to use this situation command. So this one I can't skip, but there's 3. That's the 3rd one that they intend you to use, and we skip essentially 2 of them. So here we have a force fight. We're gonna be using Meow Wow. So compared to the first fight in this world, I actually don't want to use the finisher because I want to wait till the whole wave spawns. So actually, which is nice that I got Splash Run, the attraction field here. So I can essentially use 2 big AoE attacks back to back. So this should be pretty fast. And that just essentially ended that fight. So first we have to fight a mob of enemies. And then... And now we have this horse chariot fight. This guy's really annoying. The only thing about this guy is that it has those, the back end of this guy can block your attacks. So you can block my projectiles, I mean. So you can see that fire didn't even hit. So I'm gonna try and speed this up by using a link here. So I'm gonna use 8-bit blast, which is basically wrecking Rolf. You're about to see why Rolf is kind of good in this game. So this guy can stun enemies when they're not active, and you build blocks, and after you build blocks you can do a lot of damage. Ah, why not? I'll go for it again. This is kind of risky. Oh, sweet, okay. It got stunned. So... Nice, cool. So with Rolf, the thing about Rolf is that he can build blocks, and they have these cannons on them. And if you use it properly, you can do a lot of damage. So I'm going to equip a few abilities. I equip Water Boost and Super Jump. Super Jump allows us to jump essentially when we dash into a wall and gives us an extra jump. So that's really useful for movement. for movement. But yeah, with Rolf, the link I used earlier, it does an insane amount of damage. You can see it basically did 2+ bars of damage. And if you think that's a lot, oh man, you should wait till later in this world. We'll see more Wreck-It Rolf usage.
Do we have to go? Oh my god.
So more movement. Use air step for movement. So we're just gonna make our way to the kingdom. And then we'll slide down this hill and then use more air step for movement. Oh dang it. Always forget that there's a branch that you can wall kick there. So we're in the kingdom now. We're gonna lose our party members for a bit, but that's fine. And we're gonna have some fun time, because it's festival time. You'll see what I mean. But before that, we need to do a few things. So I'm gonna go to this Moogle shop here. I'm gonna buy some ethers. Ooh, 9, that's not a lot.
Sure is a busy place.
Then I'll also get this ether chest. So I'll make sure okay, good. Want to make sure Donald has that gold amulet, because if I forgot to equip that, that's actually really bad, because I lost a lot of money. But gold amulet is useful, because I guess I didn't explain that earlier, but gold amulet basically increases the price drops. So like a small money gives you 1 money, but essentially just raises the tier of that to a medium-sized money, which gives us 5. So every little money is being upgraded to a medium money, and then for a medium money gets upgraded to a large money, which gives 10. So 1 to 5, and then 5 to 10, which is really good for the whole run.
Keep dancing.
So now we're dancing.
This is so fun.
Not that complex of a strat. We just approach the townspeople, and then you'll see a colored circle appear under them. I basically just need to correspond to the color, and then we get this sun circle or sun wheel. Just basically need to press buttons. We're a rhythm game now. But after a while, we'll see a situation command pop up, and that will fill up this gauge by a lot. So we have to do that sun wheel twice. After we do the second one, once we get to the finisher, we'll finish this minigame. So strategy here is just walk towards the townspeople, and then there's like these situation commands that show up here. We use that to fill up the gauge a little bit.
Dancing.
And then just more dancing.
This is so fun.
Then after this next person, oh sorry, I want to do another of that situation command. All right, cool. All right, cool. So this is the second sun wheel. Nothing too special. More rhythm gameplay.
This is so fun.
Then after a certain point, we'll be able to use the finisher.
Keep dancing.
This minigame is pretty consistent. The only thing that can kinda mess you up is like how the townspeople walk around. Ideally, they're all next to each other, so you don't have to spend too much time traveling to them, but it's not that big of a deal. So now we have a force fight. More Reapers. These very annoying guys. Thankfully our 4 fires killed them. I want to get that attraction flow right there. And that gives me magic carousel. So there's multiple waves in this horse fight. So after I kill that last Reaper there, I'm gonna use Magic Carousel. A bunch of dust will spawn, and I'm just gonna immediately use the finisher. This will one-shot them, so hopefully I kill a decent amount of them. This should spawn the last wave of enemies, which are more Reapers. So, just a lot of fire spam. Hopefully I can not get hit. Hopefully I don't have to eat her here. Nice, okay. I guess one thing I forgot to mention, I got a chest earlier called the Rune Ring. It has 3 magic, which is really good, and it gives us the ability Extra Cast. Basically, it gives you a free cast, and it lets you, trying to find the right words to say, but basically it makes your MP go to 1. So say you have 10 MP, it costs like 14 MP to cast like a fire. It will let you cast that fire, but it will put you at 1 MP before putting you into MP recharge. And I guess I never really talked about MP recharge. Basically, when you go in MP recharge, you cannot cast any magic at all until your MP recharges fully. And we want to avoid doing that. That's why we get a bunch of ethers. And having that extra cast is pretty useful early on.
Enough already! Get out of our way!
So now we're just doing some movement to the boss of this world. I forgot to do. You can do some air step movement, but I kind of forgot to do that. After a certain point, it becomes not worth to use air step since it takes quite a while. There's a long animation to when you air steps an enemy. But I will do it here at least, because this gives us pretty good distance, and we get to avoid all those enemies that could potentially hit you. So we're gonna have a force fight here. We're gonna have those Heartless that have armor, and the thing about Meow Wow, it also has similar properties to Arrow, where it removes the armor. So we'll just summon Meow Wow, jump once, and then use the finisher. Instantly ends the battle, which is really nice. So I'm gonna do a quick mini here. I picked up a mage earring chest right after that chariot fight, so I'm gonna go equip it over that fire cufflink. And then I also got a magic boost from that festival dance, so increase my magic stat. And the reason why we want more magic is we get to use Wreck-It Ralph here, and more magic does more damage for that link. So we're gonna summon Wreck-It Ralph here, and hopefully we can do a lot of work here. So I'm building a specific tower setup, and I'm waiting for a specific attack that this boss will do. I'm waiting for it to pretty much nail its head down to the ground. And yeah, that just kind of one-shots the boss. Yeah, so this is why Ralph is pretty good. But yeah, basically I set up my towers in a specific way so that the cannons that that you see, they're able to shoot out and do a lot of damage. And that's also like why I increase my magic stat. That boss is really annoying. If you don't skip its DM, makes you lose a lot of time. But yeah, that's that fight in a nutshell. All those bars of HP instantly demolished within seconds. So now we get to go back to Toy Box. So we got Ever After after finishing that world. Like I said, its shot lock is insanely good. You'll see usage of that really shortly. So the boss for Toy Box, King of Toys, is really annoying. I feel like that's becoming a common theme. But yeah, the bosses are really annoying. But using Ever After shot lock makes it way easier. So before I go into the boss fight, we have this Moogle shop here, and we're gonna be upgrading our Ever After Keyblade 3 times. Or I should say 4 times. Increase its magic stat, gives us the Erza ability, and then we're gonna equip Ever After, and then we're gonna equip that refocuser that I got earlier in this visit. And like I said, we'll be using Ever After Shotlock. Does a lot of damage. And the strat here is to use it 3 times. We want to make sure that we get the max Shotlock. So the thing about Shotlocks is that you have 2 different Shotlocks, one for the max and one for the non-max. We want to make sure we get the max here, since it does way more damage. Ah, dang. Wasn't able to max that Shotlock in time. So this fight's kind of annoying since a lot of these buildings can get in the way. Hopefully I can max it out. Okay. Then hopefully I can get one more max Shotlock. Perfect. So I need to be very careful on my lock-ons because if I'm not careful, I can lose focus, and that will affect my ability to do a triple max Shotlock. If I mess up my Shotlock, then I'll lose focus and I'll lose my ability to complete a 3rd maximum Shotlock. And like I said before, having the maximum Shotlock is very important because it does way more damage than the non-maximum Shotlock. So it's a kind of a precise strat. You can make it easier if you use an elixir there, because you'll regain maximum of your focus. But I go for a riskier, but it takes less time. Since getting the elixir chest takes a little bit more time to do, but I skip that entirely to save time. But if I play well, then I can get the same result, and save time that way. And like after that 3rd Shotlock, I just did Thunder Spam to finish off the boss. Alright. So now we're gonna go to our next pair of worlds. Every time we complete a zone, we get access to another zone, which gives us a few more worlds to access. And then next we'll be heading to Monstropolis. So this world has a lot of mob fights, but thankfully at this point we have more AoE attacks. So this is the biggest difference with early worlds versus like now. We have more access to AoE attacks, like we have Meow Wow. We have a pretty strong Keyblade with Ever After. It has a really good Shotlock, and we have better magic as well. We also have Erza that I got from upgrading Ever After. So that's basically like the Water Cufflink or Fire Cufflink, which gives you the Za abilities. And the nice thing about those Za abilities, I didn't really focus too much on them, is that you're able to get those without like specifically meeting those requirements. But before that, we got this force fight. So this is the second force fight that we have to do as a Gummi, or in our Gummi ship. And you also see that I have a special weapon that I can use. It gives us more cannons, and it lets us do a little bit more damage. So main goal, just hit its head. That's its weak point. And lets us do a lot of damage. Usually just takes around 30 seconds. So 32, not bad. But yeah. Gummies just want to hit the weak points so you can do a lot of damage. But yeah, with the Za abilities, you can get them without like specifically needing to use like Arrow, for example, to get Erza. So that's the nice thing about those abilities. So immediately after this load war, we're immediately thrown into a forced encounter. I will be using Rolf, or 8-bit Blast again, to immediately, or at least attempt to immediately get rid of this unversed enemy. This enemy is called a Turtle Toad, and it's very annoying. And hopefully I can get rid of it immediately with Rolf. You've seen how much damage Rolf can do. So I want to take advantage of that to immediately get rid of this enemy. So you can see that I stunned it since I quickly summoned Rolf. So I built a tower. Ooh, it didn't die, but it's almost dead. Oh yeah, this is what I mean by this enemy being annoying. So you see how much damage it can do, even on beginner mode. You saw that it did pretty much more than half of my HP of damage. So don't let beginner mode deceive you on how like how easy it can be. So nothing too special there. I just used Ralph for big damage on that Turtle Toad, and then I just shot locked to do damage to those floods. So just heal there, and then I'm gonna buy a few things. So with this shop, I'm able to buy a next tier of food. So there's like 3 tiers of food we can get in the run. This food is more of the same. It just gives us a little bit more MP, which is nice. Same 1+ magic though, but extra MP can be useful. So here we're in the left floor. We'll be using Meow Wow for a lot of insta burst damage, and hopefully the laugh containers are able to finish off the enemies that didn't quite die. So I'm gonna air step for some movement and then summon teacups, and hopefully the finisher here is able to wipe out most of this unburst. And then we got more Turtle Toads, so these guys, I said, are very annoying. So when we're not using Ralph, we're mainly using our Shot Lock to deal with these enemies. Okay, nice. And these are the last bit of enemies, so that's the main like sequence for this world. With the large enemies, we use Shot Lock for damage, and then for the small enemies, we use Meow Wow for finishing them off instantly since they get one-shotted. So it lets us complete these small fights really fast. And then I just use the tent there to refill my MP and focus. Since we'll be going into a force fight soon, another force fight soon, but first we have this this short minigame section where we're flow motioning on this rail. So you'll see that I'm dashing. This like slightly makes us progress through this faster. It's not that big of a deal though. But you'll see there's like a lot of lag after we complete a slide, so we don't just want to spam it like all the time. And also we have these enemies that we have to worry about. If I don't clear those enemies out fast enough, then they'll attack me, and that pretty much halts me in place, which I don't want to happen. So, like I said, Meow Wow a lot. Insta use the finisher, and it one-shots these enemies. And these enemies drop MP orbs, which basically refills my whole MP. So basically I can just chain these Meow Wows together. And then I have these large bodies that don't get defeated from Meow Wow, so I'll use Shot Lock to clear them out. So you just have to deal with a few waves to progress through this. Just ether there to refill my MP instantly. And then just use Meow Wow twice here to instantly kill these small enemies, and then now I can progress. There's that bar on the top left that we have to max out to use this situation command. Scream Strike, I believe is what it's called. But that's how we progress through the story. We just need to fill out that bar and use that reaction command to progress. So there I got a magic upgrade. I got Fyra, so I'm just gonna equip Fyra. And a small nitpick I have with this game is that it doesn't automatically upgrade your magic tier, unlike the other KH games, at least for 1 and 2. So I have to manually upgrade manually change my customize so I can use the higher tier magic. Oh dang. So that's what happens when I don't defeat the enemies in time. I just get hit, and it kind of prevents me from moving. And you'll see that there's those lightning walls, I guess. I have to use the situation command or the triangle command to avoid them. So the take cover command. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. So yeah, kind of annoying if you get hit. Oops. Ooh, that's a lot of damage though. Actually, I need to be careful here, because I'm in danger of dying. Alright, should be good now. So like I said, you take decent damage even on beginner mode. Definitely have to be careful. If I was playing on a harder difficulty, I would have been dead there. So, thankful I am not playing on that mode. Or on a higher difficulty. So now we're just gonna have a bit of movement that we have to go through, and then we'll come across another force fight where we just do a lot of meow wow usage and shot lock. I don't know if I want to heal here. Hopefully I don't get hit. Since here I need to dodge a bit of lasers, which do small amount of damage. I don't know if it's enough to kill me, but hopefully I don't get hit here. So I'm just gonna use super jump. Oh, okay, finally. Donald healed me. But yeah, just small movement, and then we have to damage a control system to progress. Just small movement with super slide there. So now we're going to the higher floors, and then we'll shortly go into a force fight soon. So like I said, a lot of meow wow usage to take care of the small enemies, and then we'll have some large enemies, those turtle toads. We'll be using the shot lock with Ever After. So we'll use meow wow to start, and then I'm gonna try and shot lock both these turtle toads. And then hopefully that finishes them off. So perfect. And then I'm gonna ether and use meow wow again. And that ends the fight. So this is one of those cutscenes where you can't skip immediately, you have to wait.
Pretty sure the control panel for this place is up.
So more movement here, just gotta be careful and not get hit. I'm just gonna super jump here and just skip a small portion. Then here I will tend to real quick. I want to make sure I have max focus for this next fight. So this is probably the hardest. I would say this is the hardest forced fight in this world. We have multiple waves and multiple turtle toads that we have to deal with. But yeah, generally same strategy. We'll use meow wow for clearing out the small enemies, and then hopefully this takes care of this turtle toad here. Alright. So we've got a few more waves to deal with. So there's this chest I have to get during this fight. It's a Valor Ring that will be used later. Kinda just decided to get it since I was waiting for my MP to come back. Alright. So since there's a few enemies out of the field, I'm gonna use Ever After's Keyblade transformation for some damage. Want to make sure I don't use the finisher because it is actually kind of bad. Then hopefully, okay, good. I was able to get a max shot lock there.
We need to thin out their ranks a bit more.
It's waiting for this flood to become vulnerable. When they're underground, you can't damage them. Then I'm gonna use teacups here to max out our left power gauge, and this should gives us access to Stream Strike. Oh, okay. For a second, I thought I used the finisher. The thing about Ever After's form change, its finisher is kind of bad. You never want to see it. I'll just say, to explain it briefly, it has a very long animation that does little damage, and on top of that, you lose the form change. So hopefully you'll never see it used in the run. And if I accidentally use it, you'll see how sad I will be. But yeah, I'll just end it there on that explanation. You'll see me like change out of the Keyblade form when I'm like trying to pick up a chest. Cause I guess whoever was making decisions on this game's gameplay, they thought it was a good idea to have form finishers or situation commands be the same button as like picking up a chest. And there are scenarios where you definitely do not want to use those finishers when you're picking up a chest, for example. I'm just gonna ether real quick. Also, I forgot to do something earlier in the world. It's gonna equip that third ether. I definitely need that. So, get an R4 fight here. Same idea. We're gonna use some Meow Wow. Instead use finisher. And we got this huge turtle toad here. Wanna shot lock it. For some reason you can lock on into the fire, so I want to make sure I don't lock on into the fire on the field. And then I'm just gonna double ether here and use some water on these flame cores. Takes them out. 2 waters are good enough to take them out. And then need to find. Oh, there he is. So yeah. Didn't use Meow Wow there because the finisher will not one-shot them, so water magic is significantly better there. But we got a lot of movement here now that we gotta do. I didn't really mention this, but using air slide is better when you're going up a slope. You'll see that in the next world. Like so far, I've been using a lot of dodge roll for movement. And the occasional blizzard when I have like a good area to use it. But using air slides is definitely better when you're going up a slope. And then you'll see that I use super jump. Oh, come on. When I approach a wall climb for some extra movement. And then up here, I'm gonna grab a Damascus chest, which will be used for upgrading Ever After. So, we just need to jump off here, and we'll be approaching our next force fight. I'm gonna touch this save point to max out my resources. Then, same trend as this world has been doing. Lots of Meow Wow usage. I'm actually going to use it twice here, since waves of enemies spawn after that first usage. And then I'm going to be using shot locks. Use a max shot lock for damage. Hopefully that clears out a decent amount of enemies. Let's see what's left. And then I'll just use water to deal with those flame cores. Nice, that's actually pretty good. If I'm lucky, I would have gotten a splash run attraction flow, but that did not show up, unfortunately. But that was still a pretty decent fight. So here I'm going to do a quick tent usage. I want max resources for this next fight. Again, I need max MP to use a link if I need to use one here, but I'm more interested in the more focus, because I'm gonna immediately use a max shot lock on this Turtle Toad. Hopefully that defeats it. So I definitely don't want to deal with that. Okay, nice. Then here I'm gonna do some physical attacks. I want to build up Mirage Staff, the form change, and hopefully I get it, so I did. And then I want to store that for the boss fight of this world. Oh, whoops, I kind of messed that up. Okay. A small detail I didn't mention is that our stats are determined by the Keyblade currently equipped. So that if I switch to a different Keyblade, I lose the benefits of, like, Ever After, for example. So in that case, I switched to Shooting Star, which has a less magic stat than Ever After. And because of that, I did not one-shot those enemies with Meow while there, so that's a small thing I have to be careful of. But yeah, I switched Keyblades because I want to store the form change for the final boss. And we get to do some neat stuff with Mirage Rod or Mirage Staff. Before that, I'm gonna buy this Koopa Coin. A Koopa Coin is essentially an auto life that costs 400 money. Which is pretty good, actually. But it's essentially a safety thing. Since, like I said, beginner mode, you can die pretty easily. So I'm gonna see what this guy does. So this is a Lump of Horror. So Mirage Staff has this unique combat abilities where you're able to make multiple clones of yourself. And essentially I'm just doing the basic attack with the occasional situation command usage. And essentially I'm doing the basic attack, but I am not using the finisher of it. And the reason of that is because I'm able to retain those clones that I have out. And as you can see, the basic attack does a lot of damage. And I also want Mike to boost up my attacks. So Mike can empower your attacks, but if he doesn't, then it's fine. The basic attack does a lot of damage in itself. So you can see I'm doing a lot of damage. Am I gonna actually skip the DM? I might skip the DM. Oh wow. So usually there's a DM that Lump of Horror does, but I guess I got pretty lucky that I did a lot of damage in a short amount of time, and I was able to skip it entirely. Not bad. But yeah, the main strat there is to use Mirage Staff, so that's why I built up. That's why I invested the time in getting it. And I just use the basic attack and just never use the finisher, and occasionally use situation commands as needed. And I'm able to finish Lump of Horror really quickly. So the reason why I know I said we're like magic focused in this run. The reason why we don't use magic is because, like at least in that fight, the reason is because Lump of Horror has a lot of armor for some reason. So our magic attacks actually don't do a lot of damage in comparison to what you've seen. But the thing about Mirage Staff, that its attacks, it has a lot of instances of damage. Like, they don't do a lot, but that armor doesn't really, like, negate the multiple, like, DPS attacks that it does. And if Mike helps out, it actually does a lot of damage. So now I'm gonna go to our next world. But yeah. Mirage Staff its attack has a lot of instances of damage, and the armor, like, it takes less damage from it, but since there's just so many attacks happening from Mirage Staff, it actually does a lot of damage when you do it, like, for the whole fight. And like I said, Mike can empower attacks, and it does crazy tons amount of damage. So now we're going to our next world, Arendelle, aka Frozen. And you'll see usage of a new link that we gained in Monstro. So this is why we go to Monstropolis first. We get a new link in that world. We get Simba, and you'll see usage of Simba a lot. Oh, I guess I didn't really touch on this for Gummy movement. We go into encounters and we leave immediately because it replenishes our boosts. I can't believe I ignored that. But yeah, we just go into encounters and leave immediately. Thankfully it's really fast, but the main purpose of that is that we regain our boosts immediately in our Gummy ship. So just a few seconds of investment and we're able to get our boost back, which I think pays off. So now we're in Arendelle. We have to do a bit of movement before we're able to progress on the story. Excuse me.
Do you think the Heartless are after her?
So a few enemies will spawn in front of me. I'm just gonna use some air step movement to quickly close the distance. So like I said about air slide, using it is better when you're going up slopes. And you can actually see I might be able to chain air slides. Usually I have to jump and then air slide and then jump again air slide. But if I do a really specific like timed input, I can actually chain air slides. And it's just like a small movement thing, but you can actually save quite a bit of time if you're able to do that consistently. So I'm just gonna do some movement here. And I don't know if that was bad. Okay. It wasn't bad. So yeah, just small movement to skip stuff.
Why don't you try breaking this chunk of ice?
Not really sequence breaking, but just skipping a lot of parts that, in comparison to what the game intended you to do. You're supposed to wall climb up, and then, you know, I am able to get to that point, but I just essentially skipped a few things. So here I'm using Simba. As you can see, following the trend of how strong links are, I one-shotted those Heartless. But I'm just the main target is this rock troll here. So I did a few roars. Usually 6 enough is enough. I kind of lost track of how many I did there. But I'll do at least 6 roars and then use the finisher. That does a decent amount of damage. And then I'm gonna immediately do a double shot lock with Ever After here. And that should finish off the fight. So with our current setup, Shotlocks scale offer magic, so I have a lot of magic boosting accessories, but you'll see that I'll switch back to Fire Cufflink, because I really want that Fireza Grand Magic. But for now, I'll just keep my current accessories. So here I'm gonna tent real quick, just to regain my focus, and then just do a little movement with air stepping. And then we're in the Labyrinth of Ice right now. Pretty easy to get lost in here if you don't really know the map. I think when I first played this game, getting lost was pretty easy, since these worlds are essentially one room. Or at least majority of rooms are a huge room. So in this place we're gonna have a lot of force fights, I think 4. And we're gonna use Simba, and this strat is essentially summon Simba, use finisher immediately, and hope fight ends. It's a lot of luck in it, really nothing we can do if the fight ends or not, but basically we're just hoping the fight ends.
And I think it opened when Sora rotated that pillar.
So a little bit of movement here, unluckily got hit there. Use some air step to close the distance. Just need to be careful not to get hit here. So yeah, we have four of those fights where we're gonna essentially do the exact same thing and hope for the exact same result. So we got these ninjas. They're very annoying, but Simba has our back and will do a lot of work. So yeah, that is essentially how we want it to go. We summon Simba and then hopefully the fight ends. So there's 2 pillars here. The left pillar is the only one necessary to advance in the story. Then we just gotta do a bit of climbing here with our air stepping.
Might be something up there.
Wanna make sure we actually air step to the right thing. So another force fight. Like I said, same idea. Summon your boy Simba. Use finisher and hopefully the fight ends. Nice. So if the fight doesn't end, then we either can use our shot lock to do damage, or if we get our MP replenished from the MP orbs that drop, then we can just do fire spam. Both work. But like I said, ideally we don't have to go through that. So we got a small real section here. I'm gonna make sure I don't get hit. Similar to Monstropolis, we use Super Slide for movement. Oh dang it. I tried to jump over those attacks. And then this is our last force fight in this labyrinth. And hopefully we can have a perfect labyrinth. Yo, it's sick. So that was essentially a perfect labyrinth, where the fight ends instantly after the Simba finisher. And then now we're out of here. But yeah, if the fights don't end instantly, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a bit of time loss, but not the end of the world. That's why I tinted earlier when I first got into the labyrinth. In case the fight doesn't end, I have my shot lock to rely on. Because not all the time you get your MP back, and you kind of don't want to use ethers. Like, I know we get a lot of money with Gold Ring, but definitely do not want to waste our ethers since we're only granted a limited amount in the run. So I'm just going to use some movement to skip a lot of wall climbing. I'm going to get this elixir chest right here, which is going to be very useful in this world's boss. And then just do a bit of air slide, attack, air slide movement to to position myself so I can air step to that pole. So a neat little trick here when you're wall climbing, you can actually press circle to go into flow motion mode. And then I'm actually going to do a quick mini real quick. Gonna replace that mage earring with fire cufflink. But you can do a neat little trick when you're approaching the top of top of the wall climbing cliff, or at top of the cliff, and you can press circle. That puts you in a flow motion state, and you can super slide immediately and sonic cleave for like that double attack for like some extra movement, and then cancel immediately into an air slide. So that's a pretty neat movement that you're able to do. Alright, this part, I'm gonna take this opportunity to take a break, because feel like I've been talking non-stop. So, unfortunate thing about this is purely time-based. But this thing takes 500 years to get through. It takes about like a minute. But essentially we just need to dodge these laser beams. If we were playing on proud mode or like level 1, would have to be kind of careful. I would have to try to die here, like do not move at all. But essentially this is just a time segment where we need to dodge these attacks from these dragons. But yeah, nothing special here. Unfortunately we can't speed it up at all. And then after this part we have another minigame type of segment where we are on the frozen slider. It's the frozen slider segment. It's a minigame, but it's kind of important simultaneously because we're able to get money as we're doing it. But yeah, this is quite a lengthy segment of this world, or where we're just riding Goofy's shield. So yeah, see, getting hit doesn't really do a lot of damage, but definitely don't want to get hit throughout the whole thing, because at that point I can possibly die. But No worries on beginner mode. So now we're in the frozen slider segment. Like I said, there's some money that we can get, so we just want to focus on getting them. And thankfully money's like on the way of like kind of going fast in this part, so there are kind of guidelines on like where to go. And then after this segment, oh, also I need to make sure I don't run into stuff. You can run into stuff. It doesn't do you a lot of damage, but it will definitely slow you down. So after this segment, we're gonna go into a fight with those dragons that were chasing us earlier. Strategy, just basically fire spam. If you haven't realized that by now, there's a lot of fire spam in this game. But I'm gonna fire spam. I'm gonna do a full combo of fires at the start, and then I'm gonna try and air step to one of the dragons so that I can avoid their tornado attack that they do, and then obviously do more fire spam. And then I will get the Firaza Grand Magic, and I want to make sure I don't waste that attack, because it's easily wastable if you're not careful. So yeah, do a full combo, and then hopefully, okay, cool. So I was able to avoid the initial tornado attack. So with these guys, I want to make sure I lock on into the head. You can actually lock on to their wings, which don't do damage to the enemy itself. It just makes the enemy easier to deal with, but fire spam is good enough already to deal with them. But yeah, if you get rid of the wings, it makes those enemies more bearable. I honestly think it makes it harder, but thankfully we do a lot of damage that it's not that bad. But if you're playing like on a harder difficulty or level 1, these guys are kind of annoying.
What?
But we got fire spam to save the day. So I'm just gonna refill my MP real quick, and then we got another minigame coming up. We're gonna build a snowman. Gonna build Olaf. So for this minigame, Olaf will be scattered throughout the area. The areas we have to, and we just have to find the body parts of Olaf. Those parts are always in the same spot. So we're just gonna do some movement to get to them. Use super jump to get to this area in a non-traditional way, but it works. Then just gonna air slide to the snowball. Head of Olaf is here, and then just run into that rock so that frees the head, and then we're just gonna get the legs on this frozen lake, and then that's it. We have successfully built a snowman. Easy peasy. So now after this we have another force fight. No surprise, we're gonna use Simba again. He essentially one-shots those reindeer heartless and two-shots those armored heartless. So we just run around, use the Firaga roar, and then this should be the last enemy. Nice. So yeah, Simba very strong. We're placing our way of like using Meow Wow. Like Simba does a lot of damage without the finisher. So now I'm gonna do a quick menu. I'm gonna equip Happy Gear, which is a new Keyblade that we got. Gonna equip that Mage Earring, and then equip the Elixir that we got. And we got some extra abilities to equip, so gonna equip those. I believe that's it. So a new ability that we got is Double Flight, and that essentially lets us to double jump. And this is by far, I would say, the coolest part of the run movement-wise. So we're gonna do a lot of skipping stuff that the game intends you to do. So here's our first skip. So we're just gonna jump here and take advantage of double flight. Again, it's essentially a double jump. And then use our super jump to get another jump on top of that, and then we're able to skip a lot of this mountain climb. Then I'm gonna do some neat movement with air step there, and then we got more skipping stuff. So double jump here, super jump, and then alright, I was able to get there. And then there's these launch pads that are around there that we can use to climb. And then yeah, this part's really cool. Kingdom Hearts isn't really known for its movement, but I'm actually kind of excited, or like I'm really excited that there's actually some movement in this game. Like a lot of the other games do not have movement as good as KH3. And, that Heartless is annoying. But yeah, that's like the bulk of the movement. We definitely skipped a lot of sections that we were supposed to normally go through. Wall climbing is pretty slow, so... Oh, got hit. So, usage of double flight and super jump definitely saves a lot of time that way. Let's say it's like saves about 30 plus seconds in comparison if you did it normally. So gonna eat food real quick. I ate 2 food that time instead of 1. One of the foods increased my magic stat, which you're not surprised about, but the other one increases my strength stat, which will come in handy in Caribbean. And we'll also be using those, some of the accessories that I picked up in earlier worlds. So we actually need to do a strength build, but I'll get to that later. Now we got Marshmallow. What's a fire spam here? So this guy can put up armor. I want to make sure I avoid doing that. And I also need to avoid Marshmallow's attacks. So I'm just keeping a decent distance. Sometimes this guy likes to get launched into the air. So hopefully that hits, and then I'm just going to use a shot lock to end this. And hopefully that ends the fight. Nice. So this guy can put up armor, which will only happen if I don't finish him off fast enough. But I was able to like stun him. So you can see that fire kind of stunned him. You can see that Marshmallow was just kind of jumping around doing nothing. Or he wasn't doing nothing, but he was just like dancing around, I should say. But fire stuns him, and then shot locks they let me do a lot of damage in a short amount of time. So there I just picked up a Force Ring, which increases our magic stat by 4, and it has the ability Full MP Blast. So that ability essentially increases your damage by 50% when your MP is full. So in one of our magic casts, it does 50% more damage, which is pretty nice on top of the 4 magic that it gives. But yeah, you'll see that in addition to fire usage, shot locks are used for quick bursts of damage. So like when you do a shot lock, time slows down. So it's very useful in like doing a lot of damage in a short amount of time. And I'm actually gonna attempt to do more of that in this next fight. So the boss of this world's coming up, and I would say this is probably the hardest fight to do fast in the whole run. So here I'm just checking the shop to see if I got a magic boost. I don't think I did. Yeah, so that's kind of unfortunate, but here I'm gonna equip that Force Ring I got, and then yeah, that's it. So this boss fight we have is Skoll, and this fight is really annoying if you do not DM skip it. Since the DM wastes a lot of time, you go through like a long animation, and it wastes about a minute per DM, and you can get up to 2 DMs if you're unlucky. But before that, we have this minigame section where we're supposed to traverse through a snowstorm, but I'm gonna use Simba here to completely skip a lot of the minigame. If you don't use Simba, you kind of just walk slowly, and Yeah, kind of like what you see right there. Definitely don't want that. So that's why we use Simba, to skip a large portion. And you can see that I just jumped over a cliff and skipped a good amount of it. So here we have Skoll. I'm gonna try this really specific strat, and hopefully it goes well. Otherwise, if it doesn't, then I'm losing a decent amount of time. So I'm gonna shot lock right off the bat here. My MP is kinda not where it should be, so I might have to double ether here. I will double ether here. Actually, well, that's fine. So I'm gonna wait a bit before using the shot lock. And hopefully Skoll remains staggered. Good, that's good. So a lot of fire spam here. And then I'm gonna throw that elixir that I got earlier. Then I'm gonna do another shot lock. So this is really good so far. Then I'm gonna do a full combo and then do another shot lock. Okay. I might pull this off, hopefully. Perfect, okay. So that looks way harder than it looks. It's really important to not mess up your shot lock at all. You can see that I actually canceled one of my shot locks, because the consequence of messing up your lock-on is that you still lose focus, but you do not gain lock-ons. And the strat I just did relies on getting the max shot lock. Like if I got a non-max shot lock, then I essentially messed up the whole strat, because I lose out on so much damage. And if that happens, I would have essentially gotten DM'd and I would have lost a lot of time. But a lot of that strat, that strat I just did is essentially, you know, shot lock in the beginning for damage, and then I do another shot lock. And then the tricky part about that boss is that if Skoll roars in the beginning, that's essentially an automatic DM, because the way Skoll DMs is that it needs to summon the wolves, like summons a bunch of minions, and then it does its DM move after a certain HP gate. So essentially the main goal is to keep Skoll like stun locked in a way with fire and shot lock spam. And your parties can actually contribute to stun locking too. But I'm really glad that that fight went well. Definitely the hardest fight to DM skip for sure. And definitely one of the worst probably one of two of the worst fights to get DM'd on. So here, just a lot of gummy movement. And here, we're actually going to do something different before going to Caribbean. So I'm going to go into this fight here, and then I'm going to abandon the battles, but instead of going straight to Caribbean, I'm actually going to take this small detour, I would say a very important detour, and we're going to head over to this constellation right here. So the reason why I'm doing this is that you can actually take pictures in a gummy ship, and by doing that, I just got a new ship for free. So that constellation is the Endymion constellation, and the reward of taking a picture of that is that you get a brand new ship. And the Endymion ship is really fast. You'll know what I mean when we leave Caribbean, but it's really fast. And who doesn't like going fast? It has better engines and its boost is enhanced, so it's really good. But I'll get on more on that later. So here, upon landing, I'm gonna do this quick menu here. I'm gonna go to a strength build for once. So I'm gonna replace all my current accessories and equip that Buster Ring I got in Toy Box, Valor Ring in Monstro, and that Laughter Pin I got in Arendelle. And then I also equipped an Ether to replace my elixir that I used. So here we just gotta chase this ship. So use Blizzard for movement. And then we have this encounter here.
That's who's doing
So these guys are super annoying. I'm just gonna dash backwards and use a max shot lock. So since even though I'm using a strength build, magic with shot locks is still my best damaging option. But unfortunately I'm not doing as much damage. But it's really important that I have this strength builder right now. That was Zaga, that's new. So before this fight ends, I want to switch to Happy Gear, which is a worse Keyblade to use for magic, but it has a lot of strength. So this is the reason why we want a strength build, is because of this next fight. Actually, not next fight. Is it this fight? I can't remember. Can't remember if we have like a fight in the... Oh yeah, I think we have a fight in the boat. Okay. So it's for the fight after this.
Straight in front of us.
So we're gonna have a quick, small encounter here. We're just gonna have two boats that we have to defeat. And I'll get more into ship combat. But basically... Or I'll get into ship combat later, but... Basically, ships have weak points that you want to hit with your cannons. You'll see the weak points being an orb. It's that green orb right there. If you hit it, it will instantly kill the ship. And yeah, that's just the main goal in ship combat. So having good accuracy is important. But back to my strength build. This is where the strength build matters. So for this Raging Vulture boss fight, we want to have 39 strength. So this is why I have the Buster Ring, the Valor Ring, and Laughter Pin. This give that gives total of 9 strength, and then Happy Gear gives a total of 8 strength, if I remember correctly. And with our current level, we're able to do more damage with our burst shot and torpedoes attack. So the strength I'm at right now increases our damage output. So this fight can be random sometimes. Raging Vulture can either attack the ship or attack you. Ideally, Raging Vulture just attacks the ship. Mainly because when this boss attacks you, it likes to move around a lot. And that hinders my ability to do damage. So when it's attacking the ship like that, I can do a lot of torpedo damage, and then I can occasionally stun it. So I'm able to do more damage. So let's see what Raging Vulture does here. Usually when it decides on what to do, it sticks with that for quite a while. So good. This is actually good RNG. So it's continuously attacking the ship still. So this lets me do a lot of torpedo attacks. If this guy likes to run away, I have to like either chase it, or I could just use my Gatling gun attack. Okay, so now it's attacking me. So because of that, it just ran away. So I don't want to just like spam torpedoes for the whole fight. I want to make sure I'm relatively close, because if I torpedo spam, they're only out in the field for like a certain amount of time. So I can't just spam torpedoes like all the time. But once I'm close enough, I can use it, and hopefully it hits Raging Vulture. Really don't want it. Really don't want the torpedoes to hit the Heartless around me, because that's a lot of damage that would be lost. So this boss is almost dead. And that's pretty alright. Before that fight used to be like a huge Resident Sleeper. It kind of is a Resident Sleeper fight, but at least their strength build makes it somewhat faster. So here I'm gonna do a quick shop here. I'm gonna buy more food. So this is the last tier of food that we can buy in the run, and then buy more ethers. So that crep, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but that gives us 2 magic. And then here I'm gonna replace all my accessories. So this gives us 2 magic instead of 1, which is really nice. And then I want to make sure I'm equipping Ever After, or I have Ever After equipped here. So this is an underwater segment. Personally, I'm not a fan of this part, just because it limits a lot of your combat options. So like you can't switch Keyblades underwater, so that's why I swapped Keyblades before I dove in. It also changes your magic to C versions of whatever. So I have C Fire instead of Fire, which does less damage, and it's essentially the same as Fire, but it's just called C Fire. You can't use Keyblade transformations underwater. You can't use shot locks. You can see that my focus meter is grayed out. So underwater combat kind of limits you in a way. And it also changes like your basic attacks, but we're not really worrying about basic attacks since we're primarily magic based. So we got a boss fight coming up. It's more of the same fire spam. Oh yeah, first we gotta do this. This is definitely not a trap. Oh, what do you know? It's a trap. So I'm just gonna dodge to the side and just do a lot of fire spam. One small thing I like to do, I like to take advantage of full MP blast. So I intentionally threw my elixir at a specific time, not elixir, ether at a specific time, so I can. Ooh, I tried to dodge that. But I threw my ether at a specific time to take it to. Oh, I didn't get max MP there. But yeah, just to take advantage of that full MP blast there. But yeah, nothing too special about that fight, or nothing too complex. Just a lot of fire spam and dodging the boss's attacks. So here I'm gonna get a chest. This is a very important chest to get because it gives you the aerial link ability. Or actually, that's not what it's called, but it gives us aerial. That's who the person that gets summoned is. And you know about links. Links are pretty good, so we'll use aerial later. You'll see the magic that she can do. But that's it for underwater combat for now. But now we got our upgraded ship. But before we go off to the seas, we're gonna get this nice chest right here. So this is the Celeste Triad accessory. So this gives a decent amount of magic, and it gives 3 boost abilities. I believe it gives fire boost, water boost, and thunder boost. I might be wrong on that, but really good abilities and 3 magic, I think. So a really good chest you get for free. So now we got more ship combat. So like I said, ships have weak points that you want to attack. And if you're able to hit it, it instantly defeats the ship. Like a certain amount of hits, I mean. So what I did there, I did something pretty specific. I intentionally left that last ship alive, and the main reason is that I want to build up that meter you see on the left side. I want to have it where it's like pretty much almost full. And the reason is that you're able to get certain situation commands when you max out a gauge. So you can see that it carried on to this race that I'm doing right now. So why that's important is that when I hit this weak point, it maxes out the gauge, and it gives me this tailwind command, and it's essentially a speed boost. Oops, oh, I hope I don't get hit here. I'm gonna get hit. So that was kind of unfortunate. But yeah. Main goal is to get a bunch of tailwinds. You can also get Tidal Wave, which is another one. I'm personally not a fan of getting that in this race. But enemies will spawn to try to slow you down. So as they spawn, I just want to make sure I can defeat them so they don't ram into me. Ooh, that's not good. It can be very bad if you use Tailwind and then you like immediately boost into a ship. So like I believe the spawns are pretty random. So you just have to kind of adapt to the scenario. But you definitely don't want to use Tailwind when like a ship spawns, or if a tornado, like cyclones can spawn as well. So you just want to make sure you're not using it at a bad time. So I guess, well, I'll say it. No, I can say it now. So when you defeat ships,
It ends here.
based on what weak point you destroy, like the orb weak point, you can get a certain situation command. So when I hit the weak point of that ship that had the blue weak point, I got Tidal Wave, and that's actually pretty important. And like, if you want like a certain situation command to show up. But yeah, here we have a boss fight, but with ships. So main goal is to defeat these small ships so that we can build up our situation command gauge. And that's the big boss. This guy's kind of trolling me. I'm just gonna wait for it to turn around so that the weak point's in the better spot. Okay. So the strategy here is to max out your possible situation commands. So there's 3 possible situation commands you can get here, or just in ship combat in general. You can get Tidal Wave, Wind Chasers, and Raging Cannons. All of them are really good. So I'm gonna use the first one here to do an initial burst of damage to the boss ship. So that did like almost 5 bars of damage. And then I'm gonna use the Wind Chasers to do more damage. So this boss has a DM as well. It can teleport away, but if you're able to do a lot of damage in a short amount of time, you can skip it. So we need to do a lot of damage to destroy the ship, and then now we can board it. And then now we go back to our normal Keyblade combat. So I'm gonna just use our Thundaga. We got that earlier. So Thunder is really strong right now. Use Shot Lock on this guy. This guy's really annoying. But yeah, just a lot of magic spam, and hopefully that kills most of the nobodies. And then one more guy. And then we'll have last 2 anchor enemies that we have to deal with. I'll just use a lot of Thundaga spam. Ideally, both of them like stay grouped together. Alright, nice. So this is something I didn't really talk about, but in some cases it might be better to not use the max shot lock. Ever after shot lock is really good, it's max shot lock, but sometimes you might want to use the non-max shot lock because it does an instant burst of damage and its animation is way shorter. Like ever after shot lock has a pretty long animation, so if you just need to do a quick burst of damage, the non-max is definitely better. So I'm gonna equip a few abilities. So Super Slide and Air Slide. So multiple air slides increases your distance of like how much you air slide. I'm gonna use an ether real quick. So that's definitely useful for movement. And now we got some crabs collection. You gotta do. So we gotta get 300 crabs. Oh, fortunately we have a decent way of getting a lot of them relatively quickly. So we're gonna make our way to the prison, and we're gonna go to the courtyard, and there's a bunch of crabs that you can get. So I'm just gonna get a few more crabs on the way here. And then I'm going to do a double Thundaga, and hopefully I get a attraction flow here. And then I immediately use the finisher. So there was a huge barrel of crabs just hanging out in the center. And what they normally do is that they disperse around, but if you're really quick, so if you can get the teacup attraction flow and immediately use the finisher, you can essentially break all those barrels at the very center. And you want to do that as soon as possible, because if you're not quick enough, the crabs will disperse, and that will definitely make the crab collection slower. So I'm just gonna get a few accessories, or an accessory and an ether chest there. So that sorcerer ring gives us 5 magic, which is really nice. And then ethers and ether. So get those crabs there for the remainder of what I need. Air step to the boat, and then I'm just gonna equip that sorcerer ring actually immediately. Then equip an ether while I'm at it. And that's crab selection. So we're actually leaving this world early, similar to Toy Box, where we leave earlier so we get like stronger equipment or abilities, or just to be higher level in general. So this is the advantage of leaving early and coming back later, just to make like the later parts of the world easier. Alright. So pretty good. So now we're gonna go to San Francisco, and first we're gonna actually wait, wrong area. Oh wait, I forgot to do something. First I need to collect my reward for taking a picture of that constellation earlier. Now I got my reward. So now I'm gonna go to Monstropolis, but before that, or not Monstropolis, San Fran. We're gonna switch to our new and fast gummy ship. So you'll see what I mean when I say it's fast. It's pretty fast. But yeah, this gummy ship has more engines, and its boost is ridiculous. It's like so fast I can ignore like how the game guides you to go and just like beeline it straight to the world. So that's why we get this ship. Really useful in movement. But yeah, like I said, we leave worlds and come back to be stronger, and it makes like the bosses of the world we initially visited much easier. Here in San Fran, we get Firaga. We get the last magic upgrade for fire, so that makes the boss fight of Caribbean so much easier. So to start off for this world, we just have force fights. We have to beat a bunch of Heartless. One Thundaga one-shots them, so that's really good. Just have to make our way through the bridge. Don't get hit. Gotta be careful. So you can soft lock there actually. But if you just skip the cutscene like later, then it's avoidable. So this is why we get aerial. Yep. Aerial is kind of strong. So aerial... So you might be wondering, why not use aerial everywhere? Aerial is only good in big targets and when they don't move around a lot. So for large enemies, aerial is used pretty much all the time. But for small enemies, aerial is not the best. So here I'm going to upgrade Ever After one last time. And maybe I might get that magic boost that I did not get. Okay, cool. I got that magic boost. So I got a synth item, or yeah, a synth item back in Caribbean, that adamantite. So that lets me upgrade my Ever After Keyblade 2 more times. Or at least I upgraded it 2 more times. And it lets me get 1 more magic on my Keyblade. So I think it gets up to 10 magic, which is really good. So now we got a minigame section. Shugyo, I probably mispronounced that, but it's just a lot of movement that we have to do. So the game wants you to go to a bunch of HUDs. Apparently you can just ignore the HUDs. At least some of them. Not all of them are skippable, but you can see it wanted me to go straight ahead. I just jumped off and went to a later part of this segment, and it still progressed this minigame, which is kind of neat. Super slides don't matter here. It mattered in Monstropolis and Arendelle, but it doesn't seem to like make you go faster here, but I'll just do it for fun. So, but yeah, basically here it's just to go towards the HUDs. Use whatever movement we have to go fast. And then here, I'm going to use some air step movement to traverse across the city, or the streets, and then I'm gonna try to climb the building. There's like a specific spot I want to look for. So there. Oh, that lets me climb that building really fast. So again, I'm skipping a lot of the HUDs. This one I can't really skip, but I just need to be somewhat close and then use air step movement. Yo, sub 120. That's pretty good actually. But yeah, a lot of air step movement in this world. Since it's essentially just one big city, there's a lot of areas where you can air step to. So really nice for movement. So next coming up, more of horse fights. We'll have a segment where we need to climb up really high, but we'll thankfully use air step to climb quickly. And then we'll have a boss fight. I can't remember the boss's name. I just call it Dino Boss. But you'll see more aerial usage on that fight. So we need to climb up, use air step movement to get up really quickly. And then it's going to be a large group of enemies. We'll just use a bunch of Thundaga spam. Let's use an Ether. And then Thundaza to like instantly kill everything. So yeah, magic definitely strong in this game. And Link's as well. So I'm gonna use Aerial here. This guy's gonna charge at me. I meant to grab that, but that's fine. So it's gonna walk away for a bit. Ooh, I don't really like how it moved, but it will come back to me, hope. And alright, cool. So it's gonna run towards me, and then I'm gonna use Aerial. The thing about Aerial is that I need to pay attention. There's like a minigame part of it where there's like a circle that approaches the screen, like a circle that shows up, and you just need to like press circle at a good moment. It's important to time it correctly because that impacts your damage output. So you want excellence. You saw that I got one good there, but that was after I did enough damage. So I can't kill this boss until it transitions to this part. But after it gets to this part, I can just air step normal attack to it. Use air step for movement to get closer to it, and then air step to the boss itself and finish it off with one hit. But yeah, with Aerial you have to time the jumps or dives to get the maximum amount of damage, and then you just press X. I guess you mash X to do damage. Really simple limit, or link to use, sorry. So more movement here. Just a lot of air stepping. I'm gonna get some chests here. So this is actually a magic boost, and you know this stuff. You know the thing about magic. So definitely want that magic increase. There's two of them we get in this world. That's the first one. And then we have this segment here. This is a timed segment, but it is not a worthless segment because we can get some money. So this is where the gold aimlet's useful. It's upgrading those small prices to medium prices. So I'm getting 5 money per money price. And then also I can get a chest here, a Storm Fan chest, which will be used just to sell for more money, so I can get more ethers. And then now we can just kind of relax. Also, this game has a photo mode. Say cheese.
Cheese.
But yeah, this segment is timed. Can't really speed it up. Thankfully it's short. It's not as long as the Arendelle Frozen Slider. So now we gotta save members of Big Hero 6, so we have a specific route that we save the members.
Improvise. I know.
So here we just need a flow motion swing on these poles, and then we can free Fred that way. And then a cutscene will play every time you save a member of Big Hero 6. So before that happens, I just want to make sure I am able to air step away before that cutscene happens, just to gain some movement. So I need this ball to free Go-Go. This game kind of has like gimmicky ways to like free them quickly. So this way we just use the ball. With Fred we use the flow motion. And then we got 2 more members to save. So I'm just doing some movement to get to another magic boost chest here. That was kind of an accident, hopefully. Okay. So for Honey Lemon here, we need to use magic. The colors of those, oh, whatever that is. the chem balls, okay. But yeah, we just have to use magic to instantly break them. So we're just gonna use a few fires, and hopefully that hits. Nice. And then got 1 more person. Good for you. I didn't do anything there because you need to do this air attack from a high height to free Wasabi. Unfortunately, I haven't had luck in like freeing 2 members at once before like the first cutscene plays. It's kind of hard. You have to be like super fast, but I haven't had luck in doing that. So I'm gonna do a quick menu here. I got a Hero's Glove, which gives you item boost, which is really good with our ether usage. I'm gonna equip that firefighter thing too, just because I have it. Gonna equip Magic Galvanizer, which increases our magic damage output, and then use those 2 magic boost die that I picked up earlier. So we have dark cubes here. This is a relatively simple strat, but it's really important that we get it down. I need to make sure I'm really fast at doing this whole combo. Aw, dang. So the strategy there was to just do a lot of fire attacks, and then ether fire attacks or fire combos into a shot lock. And if you do it correctly and fast enough, then you're able to skip this whole DM part. You'll see why you want to do that, because this part's really slow. Fortunately, Dark Cubes gave me really good RNG, so it didn't waste that much time. But if you do the strat correctly, you just skip that whole part. So, kind of unfortunate that I wasn't fast enough, but fortunate that I got really good RNG and it didn't spend a lot of time attacking. You can lose like, I guess I probably lost maybe 20 seconds there, but you can lose like up to a minute if you get really unlucky with RNG. So skipping that fight's DM is really crucial. And now we're at the final boss of this world. So this is probably so San Fran's probably it is the shortest world out of all the Disney worlds. Like 14 minutes is my best, which is really good for how long this run is. But for the final boss here, this is pretty gimmicky fight where we're just riding Baymax and just shooting with our Keyblade. We shoot these magic bolts. But yeah, that's basically the whole fight. You just want to make sure we position ourselves appropriately so that we get the maximum damage. Like, you just don't want to just randomly fly around. And then you have these cubes that Dark Baymax shoots at you. You want to use the physical attack to punch them back. So it does a little bit of damage, but definitely contributes. So this fight has 2 phases. This is the first phase where we're just basically chasing. It's kind of an auto-scroller type of thing. So like, I'm not controlling like where I'm specifically going, but I can like control my position. This first phase, this will happen until you reach a specific HP gate. And it's about like a little more than 5 bars of damage, so I should transition to the last phase here. Oh, you can't skip that thing. So here we can actually freely move, but it's still the same type of fight where we're just shooting with our Keyblade. I just want to make sure I'm actually hitting these magic attacks. So want to make sure that is hitting, and then I also want to be really close to Dark Baymax because it might summon some orbs, or like not orbs, some cubes that can block my magic projectiles. So like right there, I want to be right next to him so I can continuously damage Dark Baymax. And with all that, I can finish the fight pretty fast. So that's a pretty decent fight. Most of that time lost was from that Dark Cubes DM, but it happens. Not that big of a time loss. So now with San Fran done, we're gonna head back to Caribbean and we're gonna finish the rest of that world after we skip a bunch of cutscenes. If you haven't played KH3, it likes to slap its plot in the very end, but that's not the main focus of this VOD or of this video. But yeah, we'll be going back to Caribbean. So we're even stronger now. So we got Magic Galvanizer, which increases our magic damage the longer our combo is with magic. And we also got Firaga. And we also got those magic boosts as well. So definitely makes us much stronger for Caribbean. For the latter half of Caribbean. But before the final boss of Caribbean, we got to do one more boat fight, which is pretty annoying IMO, but we got strats for that fight too. But it is a very annoying fight. Darn, out of water. Well, hopefully my my voice makes it towards the end of the run. So we're gonna go to our ship, and we're gonna progress in this world.
That must be Shipwreck Cove.
So
Jack told us about.
we're trying to go to a specific location for a forest boss fight.
Didn't we sail past that?
As I'm making my way there, we're gonna have ships that are going to be spawning. So same concept as earlier. We want to build up our situation command gauge so that we're like one hit away, or like one ship destroying, or I don't know how to word it or phrase it. Oh, I just hit a ship. Oh no. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't want to spend too much time like trying to build up my thing. Okay. Oh, sweet, dude. Okay, that's perfect. So, yeah, I want to build up my situation command gauge so that I'm easily able to get situation command. And like I said, there's 3 different types that we can use for damage. And I want to get all 3 of them before the boss spawns. So we're gonna have 2 waves of enemies in this ship segment. And then the third wave will have the boss. And we need to beat the boss to end the fight. So the thing about the boss, it also has weak points, but it's not easily destroyable. Because it has like 6, I think like 6 weak points that we have to destroy, and you have to do a decent amount of hits before one breaks. So the main strat is to use raging cannons. You saw how good it was earlier, but the main strat is to use raging cannons to defeat the boss quickly. But first we gotta fight these minions, I guess. So a lot of this is RNG. The ships can like run away. Like that ship is moving so fast. I don't even know how ships can move that fast, but sure. But yeah, a lot of this segment's RNG. Like the weak points are RNG. The ships like to move around a lot, and that ship is running away. So it's kind of messy. That ship's running away. What's this guy doing? Okay. So the second wave of enemies spawned. I still want to build up my 3 situation commands. This guy is not cooperating. Okay, it stopped moving. That's good. So I want to build up 3 of my attacks, and then I'm gonna use Tidal Wave here. Hopefully this kills all the ships, because I want to have my situation command gauge at where it's at. Perfect, okay. So the boss of this fight will spawn, and it will teleport right in front of me. The strategy I'm gonna do is that it's gonna go straight towards me, and I'm gonna use Raging Cannons. And I'm gonna hit those weak points that I talked about. So I'm gonna destroy at least half of them. And then hopefully I can get a Raging Cannons right here. Ooh, the ship is getting right in front of me. Ooh, that's really unlucky. Hopefully it gets out of the way quickly. But I'm gonna double Raging Cannons to hopefully end the fight. Nice, dude. So that's one cycling that fight. The main strategy is to get double Raging Cannons, and you're able to end that fight really, really fast. So that was actually a really good fight. The first 2 waves were kind of iffy, but that last phase was essentially perfect. Getting 1 cycle is really hard though, and there's a lot of RNG with it too. Because sometimes the boss boat will like run away, which is annoying, or you might have boats block you, like you saw there with me. But fortunately, I was lucky to get away with that. But yeah, essentially the strat was to get a Raging Cannons and set up my situation command gauge so that when I destroy one of the red orbs, like I said this long ago, but like when you destroy certain orbs, it gives you a certain reaction command. So I took advantage of that to get Raging Cannons immediately after. So we got a Kraken boss fight. This is essentially not that complicated. It's essentially just shoot at it, and occasionally you'll get ships that spawn. You definitely want to defeat those ships because those will give you Raging Cannons, since those are the red orbs. So Raging Cannons does a lot of damage here if I do not get blocked by all that stuff. Ooh, that's kind of unfortunate. So I lost quite a bit of damage there, but that's fine. Hitting these guys far away is kind of hard, so you gotta be a good marksman to hit them. But yeah, nothing too complicated. It's just essentially shoot with the ship and then shoot the minions to build up your situation command gauge, and then Raging Cannons when you get it. This probably will not kill the boss because I kind of lost a lot of damage initially, but I'll just do normal cannon shots to end it. Also, a small thing, you can control this ship's speed to like either, you know, get around like certain points faster, or, you know, slow down. If you have like a huge opening, slowing down might be beneficial. So we got Davy Jones here. We got a specific strat to skip this guy's DM. This guy's DM will make you lose quite a bit of time, so hopefully I can pull this out. So I did that specific combo, and then I want him to teleport away. Ideally he gets to the rear or front of the ship. If not, then I have to deal with this. So I'm gonna do full combo here, Firaza, and then I'm gonna do hopefully a double max shot lock, and if I am able to keep him stun locked, I should be able to end the fight. So hopefully that works. Nice. Alright, cool. So what's important about like the opening that I did, I don't want to over damage him, because after I hit a certain HP gate he will DM, so he can DM twice, where he just essentially summons the Kraken to mess with you. But with the beginning I did a small... Okay, for a second I thought the game crashed because the spinning heart stopped. Yeah, I just did a small portion of damage to not only damage him, but also to get Fire-Raza ready. And then I just waited for him to get to an ideal position, and then again do my fire combo into Fire-Raza into a double max shot lock. The hard part about that is getting the double max shot lock, because DJ can kind of move around and makes it hard to you know, get that max shot lock. But thankfully I was able to get that down. So now we're playing as Riku again. This game just kind of gets pretty fast with its story. So this Demon Tower again, I want to make sure I defeat this guy. I kind of messed that up. Because I went into MP recharge, so hopefully I can DM skip this person, but that might be hard because I kind of messed up that strat. Yeah, so I got DM'd unfortunately. When you get DM'd, Anti-Aqua shows up, or Aquanaut, whatever you want to call her. But definitely wastes a lot of time, because to get past this fight you need to defeat Demon Tower. Ooh, hopefully it comes back quick enough. Okay, at least I was able to get that Fundaza off. So after we do enough damage, we're able to have Sora come to the rescue, and then now we're fighting Aqua. So this is, I would say, the best fight in the whole game, but unfortunately we do it super fast. Ooh, I don't know about that. Ooh, that's not good. So I kind of messed up there because I missed some Fire-Ragas at the start, so I didn't quite get enough damage, but I was able to recover that pretty well. But yeah. Basically just a max shot lock into Fire-Raga usage. And that ends the fight most of the time. But I just slight mess up on my part. Extended that fight. No biggie though. So we're all done with the Disney World, so we're kind of in the final stretch of this game. The end of this run is a lot of boss fights, so it's essentially a huge boss gauntlet. We have like a huge mob fight that we have to go through, and then like a short movement segment. Then it's just like a lot of boss fights pretty much after that. So we're gonna do some neat movement here. In this part you can't glide or air slide, but you can double flight for some reason. So I just essentially skipped a lot of stair climbing by doing that movement. So now we get to play as Aqua. I'm gonna do a lot of Fire-Raga spam into shot lock. So she has her own shot lock, same as 0.2. And I have to actually time these inputs to ooh, that didn't go off. And then I'm gonna do the same combo again. Hopefully Vanitas does not dive underground because he can dodge a lot of my attacks. So that's pretty good damage. So now it's just basically just normal combos. Alright, not bad. So yeah, that was a decent fight. Not the best, but good enough. But yeah, the strategy I used there was just Fire-Raga at the beginning, shot lock, and then hopefully he's nice and gives me good RNG, like does not go underground, because he's really annoying when he does that. And then do the same combo again, Fire-Raga, shot lock, and then after that point, using the ether that I have, more Fire-Raga, and then just basic combos until that's enough to end the fight. So now we're heading towards our last Gummy segment. After we skip a bunch of cutscenes. So there's like 8 cutscenes we have to skip through. But we're gonna have a last Gummy segment, and then we'll have our last boss, force boss fight. And then that'll be all for traveling. Then we'll immediately jump into this 10k fight. I think it's a 10k fight. I don't know if it is, but I think it's a 10k fight. Where we're just gonna fight a huge mob of enemies. So we'll be using a lot of our AoE attacks to progress through that. But I'll get on that later when we are in that segment. Yep, lots of cutscenes. Thankfully, I'm playing on a Pro SSD, so I don't have to deal with all that loads. So the thing about this last area, this place is really narrow, so I have to be really careful on like how I move and like use my boosts. So this is like the one downside to this Endymion ship. It's too fast to the point where we might accidentally hit the walls. So as you see, this place is very narrow. And we go super fast, so I definitely want to be careful on my movement here. Thankfully, if we boost into these nebula lines, it like guides us the right direction. So I have boost up, but I'm not gonna use it because I definitely do not want to hit the walls in this area. Basically, I'll be boosting when I'm boosting into a nebula line, like there. Oops, I think I boosted too early there. Yeah, this is what happens when you boost really early. The ship is too fast, man. And then boost one more time, and then we're at the end of the segment. But first, we got this boss fight. So this boss fight's a little bit more complicated. Not that complicated, but just a little bit different. So it has weak points as well. So definitely want to hit the head of it, like its eyes there. So you can see I did way more damage there. So that's the first part of this boss. There's two parts. And then one small thing about the Endymion ship, when you boost, it actually shoots like a rocket or a projectile, I think. That does a decent bit of damage. So I definitely want to utilize that. So these, I don't know what they're called, engines or whatever. Just want to hit those, and I want to hit like the main part of it because it does way more damage, or you do way more damage. Oh, I missed one. Oh, that's fine. But yeah, those parts will, shooting those parts make you do way more damage in comparison if you just like hit the boss like normally. But yeah, that's all for Gummy fights. And then now we're having this 10k fight after this load and a few cutscenes. So the thing about this fight, we're fighting a bunch of mobs, so I'm going to use a lot of AoE attacks in a combination of my magic and Link's. So a lot of thunder spam right off the bat. Then use some grand magic that I get. I didn't mean to use that fire, but I did. So we're going to use Meow Wow here. So Meow Wow one-shots enemies here, and the Deflate Dash does a pretty decent amount of work here. And then after I've done this quite a bit, I'll use the finisher for quick AoE damage, and hopefully I get all my MP back. All right. So I'm gonna summon Simba now. So I use Meow Wow at the start because, as you can see, shadows will like run to the area. At the start, not many enemies, not many of the shadows run at the start, so Meow Wow is a little bit better. And you can see that Simba has more AoE. And then Simba ran out, so I just used the finisher for a huge AoE. So from this point on, I'm just going to do a lot of Thundaga spam. And I just need to be careful I don't run out of MP. So you can actually either target the enemies, or you can actually target the shadows in the background. And you can see that there's a gauge on the top left. What we're trying to do is basically get to a certain point where a specific attraction flow shows up. So we're gonna get the train again here, and we're required to use the train to end this fight. But the train won't show up until we do a decent amount of, until we lower the bar. So there it was enough. It's about like 2/3 left is when the mountain coaster shows up. Then here, this completely decimates like everything. So we just shoot the shadows in the background, and then a prompt will show up after a while that will tell us to use the finisher to deal the finishing blow. When that shows up, we can use the finisher, and that instantly ends the fight. And that's 10k. 10k fight. So, I'm gonna do a quick menu here. I'm going to equip Nano Gear, which I got from Big Hero 6, from completing Big Hero 6, and then I'm gonna equip some abilities. So we got Glide now, which is useful. I think that's it. And then I also equipped an Ether. Not Big Hero 6, San Fran. Which will be useful in this upcoming parts. I didn't split, whoops. Whoopsie. Rip Donald. So plot-wise, essentially everyone dies, so here we are. Won't get too much into it, but we're pretty much dead, but we're gonna revive everyone. So we have to go through this whole collection of Sora. We're basically restoring ourselves. And this part's really cool. It's purely all movement.
These must be pieces of me.
Like I said before, back in Arendelle, there's not much movement in Kingdom Hearts in general, so really happy that movement is crucial. So I just need to collect all these Soras. The thing about these guys is that they teleport around after a certain amount of time, so meeting certain cycles is kind of important if you want to do it optimally. There I kind of messed up, but just kind of adapted. So here's the big part of the Sora collection. We gotta collect 111 Soras, and we got a specific route we got to do that. So hopefully I can execute this properly. But yeah, just a bunch of air sliding, and then we're also going to... There's also a unique mechanic in this part where we can tilt the stage. So some of the Soras in this area are kind of like in weird areas, but you can actually rotate the stage to like make some of those Soras easier to get. So we're gonna do a bunch of air stepping, and then this is what I mean. You can hit this cube and that rotates the whole stage, and this is the hard part, just not missing that rail there. Oh, that was kind of weird. Gonna be safe there. Just wanna make sure I don't fall off. If you fall off, you just reset yourself. Like you essentially just infinitely fall, because you'll teleport to the very top of the stage, which isn't a bad thing, but wastes a lot of time. So there's a lot of Soras here that we can access because we rotated the stage, and I'm just gonna hopefully get them all. Okay, 90's alright. And then Just jump down here. See if I can air slide into those to those Soras. So that was pretty good. And then hopefully I can finish it off here. Oh, I can reach them. Okay, cool. But yeah, lots of movement in this section, so definitely have to be careful. So now we're going to be doing quote revisits now, which is essentially we're revisiting every world we've been to in this area we're in. We'll be fighting this enemy called the Lich. The thing about the Lich is that it likes to move around a lot and can be very annoying if you don't finish it off pretty quickly. Thankfully we have a decent strat to deal with it. We'll just be doing a lot of Thundaga usage, and we'll also be using the Nano Gear shotlock that we got earlier. And the reason is that is because Nano Gear shotlock is very fast, and it does its damage instantly in comparison to Ever After, which does probably more damage than it, but it's not as fast, so that's why we're using it. So here, this is the last shop. We're just gonna sell all our armor and accessories. To buy a bunch of ethers. I have 33, that's not a lot. Hopefully that's enough for the rest of the game. I just realized something too. I have an extra food for some reason. I guess I forgot to eat earlier. It's not a big deal though. But oh, whoops, I meant to do some specific movement to skip this part, but it's fine. So here I'm going to do a quick EXP grind. I want to make sure I hit level 30. So I get the magic increased and the combo plus ability. So that'll be useful for end fights. Guess I'll Ether again. Need max MP for this part. So we'll be fighting Lich in like worlds we visited, and basically we're just gonna do thunder usage here. And we'll be doing that for majority of the fights, except for like a few certain ones that I prefer not to. Essentially because I really don't want to mess up those segments, because Lich will run away, and you do not want Lich to run away. You want to finish the fight as soon as you do that first instance of damage. But for a majority of them, 5 Thundagas will end the fight. And of course I want to jump and do Thundercasts in the air because they're faster. So easy enough there. And the nice thing about this part is that our MP, focus, HP are all maxed out every time we go into the Dark Portal. So yeah, I don't have to spend time healing, or I don't have to ether, which is really nice. So here I want to air slide just so I'm a little bit closer, make sure I'm locked on into Lich, then I can continue my thunder spam. One thing to note is that Lich can make clones of itself, and you can actually lock onto them. So you definitely want to be careful you don't lock on to those clones, because you miss out on damage that way. So you can't just like, oh, I'm just gonna spam Thunder 5 times and you win. You gotta actually be a little bit careful. See, I locked on there, so I held back there. Want to make sure you're actually locking on to the right target. I think the next one is the toy box part, so I'm gonna change a little bit what I'm doing. I'm gonna switch to Nano Gear, and I'm gonna actually do a max shotlock. Then hopefully that does not miss. It normally doesn't miss if you're careful. But I'm gonna do max shotlock, and then I will do 3 thunders, and that should end the fight there. So switch to Nano Gear. So the reason why I'm playing it safe here, this area where you fight Lich is relatively large, and if it runs away, you will lose a lot of time. And same with this next area in Corona. The forest is very large, so you definitely don't want Lich to run away. Thankfully we have a consistent strat. If you do 3 thunders at the very start, the 3rd thunder will stop Lich. So by the 2nd thunder, Lich will be running away, but the 3rd one will stop Lich. Like right there. Ooh, I don't know if I got it. Ooh, I didn't get it. Okay, well that's fine. Hopefully I can get this max shot lock here. I'm gonna reset that because I don't like that it locked onto those bats. Hopefully that kills it. Okay, cool. So that could have been kind of bad, but thankfully it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But yeah, usually 3 thunders will stop Lich in its place, and then you just do a max shot lock there, and that ends it pretty simply. And then here for the San Fran segment or area, I'm just gonna do 3 thunders from the start and then max shot lock, and then hopefully that ends the fight. Like these last 2 areas are really big, and you don't want Lich to run away. Then I want to be really fast on this because it will start running away. Nice. So that was pretty good. Just had one iffy segment, but rest were pretty good. So there I got Aeroga, which is the max tier of arrow. That will be useful later. So before we get to our next fight, we want to equip a few things. We want to equip that combo plus that I got earlier, and then MP safety. So the thing about MP safety, it basically prevents you from going into MP recharge. And the reason why that's really important is because you don't want to go into MP recharge in the final parts of this run. So that's just, you know, for safety, as the ability states. Or is named for. So we got Demon Tide here. Demon Tide's a pretty big enemy, and you know what we do with big enemies? We use aerial. And yeah, not much to say here. So if you're lucky enough, this guy will be at 1 HP, but that's fine. Okay. I guess I did that shot like a little bit early there. But yeah. If the fight goes really well, then Demon Tide will be at 1 HP, and you can only defeat Demon Tide after it goes into that transition phase. Okay, as Sora says, what's this? This is Union Cross happening right now. Yeah. So main thing here, we just need to press triangle a lot. But it's actually important on how fast we press triangle. Like, you just don't want to mash triangle. But I specifically time my inputs so I can get through this fast. Also, we have to go through a long list of names, so you might get tired if you're mashing a lot. So I time my inputs. But this fight, or this section, will be over once we complete the list of players. But yeah, this literally press triangle to win this fight. So for this next part, you can move Sora around, and the boss shoots projectiles at you. Not too hard to dodge, just as long as you're moving left and right. Should be okay. But just want to dodge the projectiles as I'm going through this list. So yeah. Not sure how many names there are. I think there's like 300. I'm not 100% on that though. But they pulled the near automata.
We're almost finished.
And then after we get through the list, we just do a final situation command to end the fight. So after this fight, we're basically in final fights. It's essentially just a huge boss gauntlet. So we're fighting Organization 13. So just a huge boss gauntlet. And you'll see a lot of the damage we do is just purely through Fire Raga and the occasional Shotlock, and I guess maybe Thunder. But mostly Fire Raga is our main damage source. The thing about these fights is that we'll be fighting 3 members at once. And it's important on the order that we finish these fights, so I'm gonna heal real quick. Gonna eat one more time for that magic and to ensure that it remains for the rest of the run. So we get to choose who to fight. I prefer going this way,
I guess I need to get through the door before it
just because the movement to the area is a little bit easier, but personal preference. So for this fight, we're fighting Marluxia, Luxord, and Larxene. The first part of this fight is timed, so what we want to do is actually just do a lot of damage to both Marluxia and Larxene, because HP carries over in like parts of this fight. So just a lot of fire spam here. So I just want to bring Marluxia down to a certain point and then focus on Larxene. Hopefully they have like less than 2 bars of damage by the time this time segment ends. Okay. So the first person we have to defeat is Luxord, and there's like a minigame or like gimmicky part of this. So we just have to find Luxord and do this 5-hit combo into a Fire Raga finisher, and that instantly kills him. If you don't do that, then you have to go through multiple phases. But yeah. So this is where the benefit of weakening the other members, so that we can like quickly defeat them as the next fight starts. So yeah. So that's why we want to weaken Larxene and Marluxia. If we don't kill them in time, they'll DM, and as you know with DMs, that wastes a lot of time. So very important that we weaken both of them, since their HPs carry over. So here we have Riku, Replica, and Xigbar, and I guess Ansem for a bit. So we just want to do 2 fires to someone, or I do it to Xigbar, and then now we get to the main fight. So here, order doesn't really matter too much, I think. Well, maybe it does, but I prefer going for Riku Replica first, because some of these members have they have DMs, like when the next, like after you beat a guy, they have like specific startups. Xigbar's, you're able to like damage him during his DM. So this will easily do a lot of damage. Okay. But yeah. Order matters because like certain org members have DMs at the start that are like easy to hit them with, or like you cannot hit them at all.
The sun's going down.
So here we got a short puzzle that we have to do. Just basically hit the platforms, wall opens.
So these panels in the floor.
Fortunately, it's not too
switches for the
complicated.
doors.
Just go in a circle. And we just have this blue one here. Then I want to make sure I don't hit that, because I think that would close that wall there, which I don't want. So I'm just going to heal up real quick. Make sure I have max MP. So now we have another pair of members to fight. So we're gonna be fighting Sayax and Xion. This fight has two phases. This first part, Sayax has his Berserk gauge, and as we do damage to Sayax, that meter will fill up, and I want to max out that Berserk gauge by doing damage. So I said we're fighting Xion and Sayax, but we're actually just fighting Sayax, because Xion will, defeating her doesn't really do anything. But yeah, Naxel wants to stop. Having a little fun with the photo mode. But now, at the second part, we get Roxas and Xion. And now we're purely fighting Sayax alone. And then now we can just kill him just by doing damage to him. And just use a lot of our magic to get through this part. But yeah, when Sayax Berserk Cage maxes out, you can't do damage, so that's why I kind of messed around. But yeah, that's how that fight goes. And now we have the last, or it's not the last, but another pair of org fights. So now we have Vanitas and Terranort. So here I like to focus both of them, but I do want to beat Terranort first. So that's good damage to Vanitas, so I'll focus purely on Terranort if I can close some distance. So I go for Terranort first because he has a very annoying DM. Oh, if I'm not quick enough, he might do it. Okay. So Terranort has a very annoying DM where you can't damage him. So I defeat him first. And then with Vanitas, you can damage him like this. Like he just rides his Keyblades, and then I guess I can just shot lock to finish this. But during all that, you can easily damage him. So there I purposely filled up my situation command gauge, so that carries on to this next fight. So you'll see that I have like 2 arrows already, which is really nice.
It's night already?
So we have one more fight with the Xehanorts, young Xehanort, Ansem, and Xemnas. So this fight's actually kind of really hard. It's definitely important to do this fight in a certain way. I like to damage all of them equally, and then like defeat them one by one, like really fast, because it's important defeating them fast because this fight has a really long cooldown where you're not able to do anything. Like this part, for example, I have to wait, and I really want to avoid that. So I'm gonna try and do a specific combo. Hopefully I don't get hit. Nice, that was perfect. But yeah, these guys go crazy on you, so I want to evenly damage all of them so I can avoid this part where you're just not able to do anything. So I'm gonna try to damage all of them at once. The hard part is just not getting hit, because these guys are super aggressive. Okay, so I'm gonna focus on young Xehanort a bit. And then I'm gonna switch to Xemnas. Okay, that should be good enough for young Xehanort. So now I'm gonna focus on Xemnas now. So Xemnas is the first person I want to defeat. Alright. Oh, come on. Okay. So I defeat Xemnas first because, like I said, these guys do like a specific attack at the very start of like every time you go to the next stage of the fight. And hopefully that kills him. Oh, that didn't kill him. Oh no. Okay, well, that's pretty unfortunate. So I'll just do some damage to Ansem, because he still has a decent amount of HP. So this is what I wanted to avoid, this part, where I'm not really able to do anything. Alright. So yeah, you take quite a bit of damage here. I don't know if I'll be able to defeat Ansem in time. Hopefully I can, because I really want to skip that really long phase where I'm just being attacked by Keyblades. I think this should work. Alright, cool. Wow, I saved time. Go figure. But yeah, it's really important to damage all of them really fast and like skip those segments where you're just being attacked by those Keyblades and you're not able to do any damage at all back. So we're now in the final segments of this this run. Really short though, but really important to execute really quickly. This next fight is kind of simple, but the next fight after, there's like phases where you want to skip the DM of Goatnort, and then there's a really important skip on the final boss. But for this fight, oh no. Oh, that's bad. I forgot to do something, but maybe I can improvise this. That was my bad, I forgot to shortcut Eriga. But we'll ignore that. At least that fight wasn't terribly bad. But yeah, arrow spam wins that fight pretty easily. You fight 13 clones of Xehanort and they all share the same HP. And as you've seen, Eriga decimates all of them. So here, this part is kind of tricky, because you want to skip some of the... You want to skip the DM of this guy. Hopefully I can advance to the next part. Nice, okay. So this guy, so Goatnort can summon a fire pillar, which you really want to skip, and it's really annoying to go through. But thankfully I was able to skip it by doing a lot of damage in time. So same thing here, I need to do a lot of damage in time. So you can use arrow to damage him from a distance, which is nice to help with that. So that one's really important to skip. This one's a little bit hard to skip. It's skippable, but it's kind of hard. But I'll see what I can do. But we do a lot of water gun usage here. I was trying to shot lock for damage, but couldn't get it off. So this is what I wanted to skip, but it's only like a 10-second time loss if you don't skip it. But really easy to deal with. Let's just do fire spam here. So now we're in the final boss now. So this last fight has a skip that is really important to get. There's a section where he can force Rage Form, which is a form change which you haven't really seen yet. But you want to skip it because you can lose a lot of time if you don't get it. And the way we do it is by setting up a specific HP amount of damage, and then we just instantly burst Xehanort at the end and put him at 1 HP. So hopefully I can pull this off. This is by far probably the most important skip. But I don't want to overdamage him either. Hopefully that keeps him stun locked. Nice. I hope that does it. Alright, there we go. So that's the skip. You need to get him to 1 HP so you can use this last ray situation command. And that's really important because after a certain HP gate, he forces you into this form called Rage Form, and it's a really painful segment to go through, for a speedrun at least. And you'll lose like a good amount of time, and you'll go through a unskippable DM on top of that if you don't do enough damage. Oh, I died. Whoops. I don't know how that happened. That's crazy. Oh wait, what's happening? But yeah, basically you want to skip rage form because you'll lose a good minute plus. So yeah, you always die there. It's kind of a good debate moment. Really cool moment too. But timing ends when you hear the sound when you beat a boss. There's like a sound that you've been hearing, and that's when timing stops. But that stops for RTA timing. We actually go by in-game timing. I think I mentioned that earlier, but we go by in-game time for our runs, and that is at the battle report after we skip all these cutscenes. But yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts 3. So just gotta skip a few cutscenes. Oh dang, almost sub 330. Dang, not bad. That's a pretty good time for how much commentating I did. So really happy with that. But hopefully I was clear at explaining stuff. I definitely missed a lot of things. You know, there's definitely a lot of stuff to explain, and you know, this game throws so much mechanics at you, and but I hopefully that was a decent enough commentary for the run. So we just gotta wait for a battle report, and we can figure out our in-game time. The suspense is real. So a 3 or 4. That's really good. That's really good. About, yeah, pretty close to my RTA like splits. Like that was 5 minutes off my in-game time PB, which you can see below. It's a 2:59:40. Yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts 3, 80% beginner. I hope that was a good watch for you. But yeah, not really. I don't know what else to say. Like, I guess I'll say again, like, shoutouts to the community for definitely, you know, routing out strats, routing out, you know, what we should do, which worlds we should go to, like the leaving early and everything. Like, a lot was done in a short amount of time. Like, this game was released late January and it's only early March, but I think we have a really decent route at the moment, and you know, it's, you know, again, thanks to the community that I think it's good enough to showcase at SGDQ. So again, shout outs to the community for putting in a lot of effort in such a short amount of time. But hopefully that was a good enough video, and hopefully we can see this at GDQ. But yeah, again, I'm Crispy Me, submitting for 80% beginner, and hopefully submitting for a 3-person co-op as well with Ninten866 and Mistmaster1. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, so thanks.